your seatbelt. It's going to be a bumpy ride.
Chrissie is hilarious.
Chrissie, have you ever heard of the comedian Basha K. Ali?
No, that sounds like something you yell at before you blow up a plane.
Basha K. Ali!
30 seconds remaining.
But you know what, good thing to say, I dabbled in stand-up or something. I haven't been disrespectful to you at all.
I was very confused by the title, Everything Everywhere All at Once, because that's also what we call it when Ash takes off his shirt. I shouldn't be up here. I should be in school on the other side of the ocean. Up, boys and girls. Hello. Welcome to another episode of the Chrissie Mayr podcast. We're on iTunes, YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud, Rumble, Rockfin, Twitter, Facebook, Twitch, if they'll still have me. We're all over the place. Before I bring in our truly fabulous and unique guest, I have a couple of stand-up gigs to promote. That's right. Next Saturday, I'll be in New Jersey. That's Saturday, July 8th. I'll be headlining in Morris Plains. The venue is called Tiff's Ale House. Great venue, really strong drinks, decent food. I mean, if you wanted to eat somewhere else, I would understand. No, I'm just fucking around. It's good food. Come see me headline. My good friend Keanu Thompson will be opening for me. It's going to be an absolute blast. Then I'm heading to Houston, Texas for the first time. I'll be going to Anime Matsuri for the first time, August 10th through the 13th. I will be there in some capacity where it's like a panel, a booth. I'll be cosplaying. I'll be running around, signing boobs, testicles, whatever you give me to sign within reason, I will sign it. And then I'm headlining that same weekend in Houston, Texas, Friday, August 11th at the Secret Group with my good friend and hilarious comedian, documentarian as well, Lila Hart. So she'll be there opening for me at the Secret Group on August 11th. Get your tickets now if you know you will be at Anime Matsuri. It's always good to have plans. It's always good to fill up that dance card. Okay. Yes, I'm so excited to bring in this guest because he was already in the waiting room and I didn't know he was here. And so he probably saw me like fixing my boobs. I probably flashed in my underpants. I feel like we're very close already. This guest I'm so psyched to have on. I've been actually a fan of his for quite some time, and there is truly nobody who does what he does. And I'm so excited that he is here with us today. He is the Agent Sebastian from Narcs. Welcome to the show, good sir.
Thanks for having me. Really do. And I didn't see any undergarments that I recall. So
no, you're too kind. You're too kind. What a gentleman. It's crazy to be able to put a face to a name, a face to a voice, because I've been listening to your videos and a fan of your YouTube channel for months and months. In fact, it was my husband who introduced me, and I'm being totally honest, Sebastian. Like at first, like you really annoyed me. Not you. I think it's just what you represent, and it was like the tone of it was everything. And I was like, why is this triggering me so much? Like, why is this such a fucking big deal? People are busy. People leave their carts out. Not everyone has time to return their carts. I was saying all the things, right. All the typical cart copes that I'm sure you've heard time and time again. And then all of a sudden a switch went off and I was like, no, he's actually doing the Lord's work. He's 100% right. I wouldn't have been triggered if I knew that I was correct on this, and I realized I wasn't. And I am forever changed by your work, because now I go out of my way to return not only my cart but other people's carts. And for those that are not familiar with what you do, if you want to give the audience, I don't even know how many podcasts you do. I haven't seen you do any podcasts, but maybe you just have and they've eluded me. But tell the good people, how Narcs came to be. How did it start? And if you could give a brief summation of your work, sir. And
So
I
you kind of
appreciate
hit on it. Briefly, what the cart narcs do is we politely attempt to persuade people to put their cart back where they know it belongs. And to your point, there's 1,000 excuses. Apparently, everyone is a brain surgeon on the way to the hospital. They can't. Their time is scheduled down to the nanosecond. If they are
Everyone's
the
an
type,
essential worker. Yes.
right? Yeah, unless if they are the type to push back. Many people don't. They say, "Oh, you're right. I'm sorry. Let me take care of that." But it's a super mundane origin story. It's nothing. I always say like that my parents got killed by a cart, Batman style or anything, It's
A
none of that.
shopping
There's no
cart.
superhero origin. It was just, me and another guy at the office kind of saying, man, people should really take their carts back. And I'm not the first person to have said that. You can go back decades. You can look on social media. You can, people send me anytime they see it in an old book or comic strip or something, but you can't go back too far because if you go back to the 60s, 70s, and 50s, it was unthinkable to not put your cart back. It was just, oh, why wouldn't you do that? But the difference, and like you said, I'm kind of the only person that does this outside of a few imitators, is that I went out and did something about it. It was not with a uniform initially. I didn't even call myself the cart narcs initially. That was kind of a suggestion that someone threw in there at some point. I just went out and asked people. I would walk up to somebody just in civilian pedestrian clothes, and the instantaneous, like you said, excuses, yelling, threats of violence, all that stuff was enormous instantaneously. I'm like, oh, well, I found something here. There's some, like you mentioned, there's some underlying psychological thing going on here that the cart is just the tip of the iceberg, basically.
It's a symptom of a much larger problem, is what it sounds like you're saying.
Yeah, I've talked to and gotten messages from a lot of psychologists and sort of psychoanalysts talking about how
Really?
Oh, sure.
Therapists are reaching out to you? Oh my goodness.
Let me bring it up here. I got one who says like, he's a biologist and his wife's a psychoanalyst. Let me pull it up here real quickly. But he basically says that he's actually a Dutch guy, and I'll kind of try to boil this down. But he says the better you are at coping and controlling your own emotions, the more you're kind of thinking about what you do in an everyday life, the less cart narcs bothers you. Because even if I did approach you, which is why Chrissie's so evolved nowadays.
Wow. I've really turned a corner here. Yeah. Just in the last, I think, 6 months.
And he said that just talking with his wife about this, both of them in the field to some degree, it's that if you are calm, rational, and thinking about how you go about your life, you would say, even if let's say you don't leave your cart out, but I show up one day and I say, oh, whipskeep, that's not where the cart goes. You would take first off, you wouldn't try to hit me and hurt me. We'll get to that in a second. You would take a pause and you say, oh, you're right. That is the right thing to do. Oh, that is a cart. They do have cart returns for a reason. Why many of these cart returns even have signs that say, please return cards here. Everything's laid out for me to take my cart back. I'm just not doing it because I was being a little thoughtless. No problem. I'll take care of that. But what he says here, and again, I'm boiling this down, is that you hear about this from people who are in jail and things like that, is they were never taught those coping mechanisms. They were taught fight first, anger first, attack first. And that's kind of a self-perpetuating cycle. Their only tools in their toolbox are anger, screaming, violence. And he calls it a version of psychopathy. I'm not going to say that necessarily, but again, he calls it a smooth brain problem. These are
stupid people. It sounds like these are dumb. These are dumb people who react the worst to your cart narking.
That's to the extent true. Although I've busted legit MDs, legit doctors who have, they don't resort to violence as much. They'll try to talk their way out of it. Many lawyers I've run into who, again, they're not going to
whip out a scalpel.
Yeah, exactly. that was my joke to the doctor I talked to in Massachusetts. Is I said to him, or the agent there said to him, I mean, do you just leave scalpels inside people and sew them up, or do you put everything away when you're done with it? He went, I'm not an internist, as if that was the analogy,
Oh God, you're like, don't get specific with me, Dr. Boy. Okay,
right. That's the other thing too, is they'll take analogies, and the analogies are easy. Do you poop on the toilet seat because someone's going to come and pick up after you eventually, or do you clean it up or put
people
your turd
do at
where it's
rest
forced
stops.
to go?
People shit on the back wall of the rest stops. I've seen shit everywhere.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the smarter quote unquote you get, the more they're going to try to rationalize as opposed to go to violence. But it does it goes into all that like trying to protect the ego thing.
This is fascinating work. It's like a microcosm.
Yeah, I can't claim credit for like thinking of all of this ahead of time.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, that sucks. People shouldn't do that. But it has, like you mentioned, it's sort of unfolded into this giant, bigger thing about human behavior.
And what did you have a moment where you were like, I'm going to do this with my life? Like, was there a cart moment where you were like, that's enough. Today I'm going to make this my life's work.
Well, it's sort of, I mean, obviously, in character and stuff, I talk about how this is like an organization and it's my life's cause, which it certainly is to a degree. But I also am, and people say, oh, you've got, all these subscribers, this is your full-time job. And I honestly try to keep it separate. I try to keep it more of a productive hobby,
Side hustle.
as opposed to playing video games. I'm out doing a version of Grand Theft Auto in real life. And because of the point of view, it's from my chest out. It kind of looks like that. So I do try to keep a narc life balance and don't make it like an everyday, 8 hours a day
Narc
thing.
life balance.
Because you hear it in some of the videos, like I really do get depressed with people because, it's just the idiocy and the people trying things that would easily end them up in jail, if not ruin their life, derail their life significantly with what they want to do to me. Over a cart, over this tiny little thing.
Yeah. I'm going to bring up your YouTube channel, share it with everybody just so they know where they can subscribe. My God, you have 523,000 subscribers. Holy
and so people
shit.
see that and they're like, well, you could just do this full time, just like you said. And because of that, I don't. And because not of that, because I try to keep calm, try to keep things, I try to have other hobbies, other activities, so that I don't depress myself essentially with the fall of man.
Oh, I feel that entirely. I always worked a job or two in corporate America for like a good 15 years before I was able to go full time with comedy and podcasting. So I don't even know if that's what you want to do, but it sounds like if you only did cart narking, you might not have a good quality of life. So you're trying to not basically become like a teacher who, your whole, you just become a horrible person nobody wants to be around because all you do is cart narkery.
Right. You lose, they say that like you get burned out with, and again, as an analogy here, you get burned out with, especially cops and EMTs and stuff, like people who are there for the worst day of everybody else's life. Some people do it for 50 years, but a lot of people just say, man, I gotta get out of this because it wears on their psyche. And I don't want to get to that point.
You really are like a cop or like an EMT. You really are like a first responder in a sense.
And again, obviously, with all due respect to them, that's only the analogy I'm making. This is only, this is much more silly and ridiculous, even if I am dealing sometimes with very dangerous situations or dangerous people, I should say.
But you know what? There's tons of EMTs, doctors, nurses, and like only a few cart narcs. So I would actually say that what you guys do is more important.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, there've been a handful, as the things have gone. There've been a handful of like not full-time imitators, but like YouTubers or TikTokers who will do a one-off.
You said imitators. Who are these imitators that are trying to do what you do?
There were a couple of Australian guys a few months back that did it. They called themselves cart narcs, which is not a good idea.
You've trademarked.
It is, and it could screw with because if they do something that's against our code or our creed of ethics,
creed, yes, you have
or
a creed.
if they get hurt while saying they're cart narcs, obviously that's a problem. But no one's ever done it full time. There's been like one-offs where they screw around or play around. And I get messages every day from, so I'm so-and-so in upstate New York, and I want to be a cart narc. Here's where I live. And I always tell them, like, I can't,
we're not hiring.
Have to do that just because you get hurt, someone else gets hurt, or something else happens. That's bad for you, bad for me, obviously.
They want an apprenticeship. But honestly, Sebastian, anybody could buy, cut out some felt letters and make a little vest. Like, there's not stopping anybody from creating exactly the costume you have. And
exactly, yeah. And there's no laws against it, like there is against, impersonating actual police officers. But there's no laws against wearing a Rangers jersey and going to play baseball. I guess it's just way easier to to imitate me if you wanted to.
This is so interesting. This is from my lovely husband, Frank Pellegrino. If cart narcs ever came to Westchester County, New York, could Chrissy be a guest cart narc with a full-time agent? I would love nothing more. This would be like a dream come true.
Yeah, we do offer narc alongs where either,
A narc along.
or you don't even have to. You can basically, if it's someone who's clearly into the cause and the concept, you can have whatever level of participation you want. If you just want to be a spotter, that's great. Like, the walkie-talkie, because there's so many times where I go out, I'll be watching somebody and dealing with them, and I turn my back, and there's 3 carts where I wasn't looking. So spotters are awesome. But if you want to just kind of chime in, or if you want to have some magnets, that's okay too. So there's different levels of participation.
How did you go about deciding, like, you've got all sorts of things that you will throw on offending cars, the owner of the whoever leaves their card out and they don't see the light, you'll throw magnets on them. You have flags that you'll stick on the car.
Mhm.
How did you come up with basically like the punishment system?
Yes, and again, very light punishments. These are little like mild
delightful.
social shames that these people are getting. And I guess to use an analogy from your world, it's kind of like maybe how you can speak to this. Obviously, it's maybe how, like, you have an idea for a bit or a premise, you try it out, and then you say, "Oh, maybe next time, what if I did this? What if I did?" And then you try that next time. You think, "Oh, what if I also did this?" So
You're
Card Narcs has
tweaking as you
been-
go. Yeah.
if you kind of go back to the very first videos, which were like almost 5 years ago, late 2018. Like I said, it wasn't no vest, no nothing. Didn't call myself Card Narcs. It was just talking to people. And I thought, well, what if it was sort of like a rogue, like an A-team sort of thing, where they're not part of the military, they're not part of the government, but they're just out solving these, because that's what
A
the A-team did.
militia. Yeah.
Private people would call it the A-team and say, "Hey, I got a problem, come fix it." And the A-team would show up. So what if it was kind of like that? And what if we had different agents in different regions? What if in New York City they talked like, Andrew Dice Clay essentially, and in Texas? And what if this magnet said this and this
Wow.
magnet said that? And then, of course, when you put that out on the internet, people will say, "Oh, try this and try that." And those ideas are good and bad. Maybe you take a little bit of that idea, and that's all where, I've got 1,000 more that come to mind. But it's very much like building, a kernel of a premise in your world into like a full-fledged, whatever, 10 minutes or something, I guess.
How many people are narking / working for you? Like, it must have just started with you. And then when did you think, okay, I got to branch out. I gotta put my people, I got to have representatives in different cities.
Well, and I don't lie about this, but it's part of the quote mythology of the Cart Narcs. Is anybody behind the camera is me. It's now, like you mentioned, you don't see that except for interviews, but that's I call it the South Park principle, where they're doing 90% of those voices, but because they have a different character on screen and they're talking in a different way. And if you really listen to South Park, you're like, "Oh, that's the same guy," but you suspend disbelief because you're in that world of fiction or whatever. And I've had friends of mine who've known me for decades saying, "Oh, I could have sworn that was a different guy." It's like, well, it's because you're playing along, even if you didn't realize it. But other than that, we do have narc-alongs. You'll see in some videos there'll be a second or third person.
Because I've heard voices doing videos that are not your voice. Like,
right. So you'll see like there's some just like some comedians here in LA have gone out with me that I'm friendly with, and other people around, Canada, Atlanta, other places.
Any comedians I would know?
No, actually,
do they have to be? Do they have to be secret? Do they have to be?
No. There's one guy who's gone out a number of times. I've only put 1 or 2 of his videos out. His name's Ari Manis. He has a podcast, which is not a hard thing to do. But he was opening for Theo Von recently, so he's kind of he's on his way up here.
Oh, great! Oh, that's awesome.
And actually, we went out at Skankfest Vegas last year. We did a little bit of touring with him, and then like 1 or 2 other, but they're like local LA comics. Nobody, no offense to them, like nobody, like not a big name.
They're a dime a dozen. We can say it. It's
very
fine.
nice people who believe in the cause and support me. So I appreciate that.
Okay, this is what everybody wants to know. Who are the worst offenders of leaving their carts out, of having the worst reactions, of being the most aggressive, violent, or just, do you notice any patterns where when it comes to like certain stores, certain cities, certain areas? Like, what have you found to be the worst areas?
Yeah, there's a lot of interest in kind of doing demographics on that, and I would say
Yes, because we're all racist and we want to confirm our
and I would
bias.
say that the best and the worst as far as being aggressive and violent, and you can look at the videos and it becomes pretty obvious once I put this kernel in your head, are middle-aged men.
Oh,
45 to 65. And my, again, just kind of armchair hypothesis on that is that they have reached a point in their life where they're the boss and they're in charge and they're not going to be told what to do. They're the dad, they're the boss at work, they're the teacher, et
right.
cetera, et cetera. They're not going to, even though I'm not a spring chicken by any means,
You're a
they're not
spring
going to be told
chicken.
by somebody, especially somebody who has no authority. And you hear that in a lot of my videos. People say, "Who are you? Who hired you? What authority do you have?" Like, no, I'm just a citizen. I'm just a citizen like you. Um, Now, luckily for me, middle-aged men are the least able to hurt me, so that's great. But you see, if you watch my videos and people say, "Oh, why don't you go after 18 to 25-year-old linebackers in the NFL?" Well, first off, there's a couple reasons. Number one, they typically
They're not
return
doing their own shopping. I mean,
yeah,
they're like
exactly.
sending their OnlyFans girlfriends out to do the shopping
Yeah,
for
Zion
them.
Williamson is not out there. But beyond
No.
that, even the ones who are just like, let's say he's some local 24-year-old MMA bro or whatever. He's not shopping typically for a giant household to the point that he needs a cart. And
Right.
I've encountered teenagers, young adults, and they kind of run on the other side of that spectrum where they're kind of like, they're not very vocal about it. They're kind of like, "Oh, all right, yeah, all right." Like they don't even try to verbally spar with me. They're just, "Oh, okay, yeah." That being said, there are a handful that
Because they're
have
they're hyped up on weed. Yeah, they're
yeah, the kids,
they're not
the kids
fully
these
there.
days. So that's from now the best ones are, and I just saw this again this weekend, are rural people. And I don't just say that because salt of the earth farmers and stuff, but I see it. I was
White
in,
people. When you say rural people, we're talking about white people.
I would say the best areas are kind of like the Rust Belts, like once you get outside of New York City, kind of down through Kentucky, that area, and then kind of up into, like I was in Milwaukee over the weekend, and you don't have to go far in Milwaukee to get into the farmland. You're 20 minutes outside that. It's all woods and farm. And I was there with a friend of mine who was from the area, and we're driving around and went to like half a dozen and big stores, big Walmarts and things like that. And it was all orderly. Everything was great.
Oh,
Drove
wow.
15 minutes back into the city, and it was an absolute nightmare. And my theory behind that is it's number one, it's how you're raised. But number two, you're more likely to know your neighbor in those kind of more rural,
Small
that's what
town values. You take care of each other. You you
right.
you
And
you touch
ultimately,
each other's carts.
you
Yeah.
don't want to be like, and I tell people and about this, like if your parents had raised you right, and your friends and family had always said, "Hey, what are you doing? Why would you?" It doesn't even appear that, like, that's not even a thing I would ever
Yeah.
think to do.
Shaming
And
is
because I get
great.
messages like that from different countries, especially like Northern Europe, and I just went to Japan a few weeks ago, and I knew ahead of time there would be no Japanese cart, but I went to Costco in Japan, and it was the most orderly, lovely thing you could imagine. And it's not because they have different cart returns than we do. It was apples to apples, Costco to Costco. Uh, but it's because you were raised right. If you wouldn't even think to do that because you get your mom would smack you over the head, or your friends would make fun of you. So I think it's not like you're not predetermined not to put your cart back. You can do better.
So what you're saying is it's not racial. It is it's how you were raised.
Well, I try to keep, because
Mhm.
people will try to, and this happens more with politics, but I'll get in my comments, I'll see, "Oh, must be a Trump voter." At the same time, in the same video, I'll see, "Oh, must be a Biden voter," because they want to project their quote boogeyman onto a social malady. And I see it with politics, gender, fill in the blank with whatever,
Yeah.
cause
Whoever
that
you're
person
upset with.
has.
Mhm.
And because of that, I try to spread my time out. Like I've done, speaking of podcasts, I've done the H3 podcast, which tends to be very liberal in the YouTube area, but I also done the Adam Carolla podcast, which tends to
Who's
be
H3? Who is that? I've heard of
his
H3.
name's Ethan. I think it's Klein,
Oh, yeah, okay.
and they're fans, and I appreciate them. They've been very nice. But I believe from my I don't watch a lot of their show, but I believe it's way more liberal than, like I said, the Adam Carollas and the Fox Newses of the world.
Yes.
So
Now
I
this is
try to strip that out of it, because there is no excuse politics or otherwise, if you're an able-bodied person, the cart could go
Of
back.
course, and if you're able to get yourself to the store and go get the cart, you should be able to put back the cart.
Yeah, there's a speaking of stand-up, there's an LA comic named Kellen Erskine, I believe, who has a little bit about that people tag me in from now, and he just talks about like you walked all around the store, and at the last minute,
Right.
oh my legs, and I kind of use that sort of sarcasm with some of the people I talk to as well.
Same thing with handicapped people. Like I was talking to Owen Benjamin yesterday. He was making a very good argument for why handicapped people don't even need to have handicapped parking spaces. He was saying, like, if you can get yourself to the store, like, what's a few more feet? Like, why do you have to park? He was doing it mostly to be funny, but I was like, he makes a good point. Like,
Well,
you're
that
here.
comes up in my videos too, because I don't automatically give people in the disabled spots a pass. And that's some people totally on my side, others not, because they point out, rightly so, that some disabilities are invisible, arthritis, fibromyalgia, etc.
Everyone has an invisible disability. I'm a woman, for Christ's sake. You know what I mean? Like, I'm happy if I can even get into a parking spot. But yeah, it's amazing how quick people are to bring up, like, oh, I'm autistic, I'm left-handed. Like, they come up with all these reasons for why.
Right.
They're
And my
unable to
point
put
is,
the cart back.
because I tell them, like, I just walked you walk out. I walked you load 3, 4, 5, 6 bags of groceries. You weren't falling over. I don't believe you.
Exactly. I'm very interested to know. So we have Frank is producing remotely. He's playing some of these videos. For those for people that are not familiar with your YouTube channel, are there any particular standout videos or moments or anything that we should play that like stands out in your mind is particularly entertaining, memorable? Just a good
Let me pull it up.
example.
You typically, if you just go and that's the nice thing about YouTube is you can go to the main page and then sort by, I think, most popular, and it kind of shows you what people are more into. Obviously, I have my personal favorites that are a little more like subtle or weird.
Yes. What are your favorites?
There's one here. I'll pull it up myself while we're talking, so I can.
I love it. I
think some of
love
these are
how
a couple years old.
love how
There was
self-sufficient you
one
are.
from a number of years ago where I think it was Agent Cameron. Oh yeah, it's called Boyfriend Meltdown. It's from September of 2020. So Agent Cameron was doing this encounter in the outside of the LA area, and this was one of the weirdest excuses that we've ever seen, where this lady is just sitting in her car, and her excuse, I don't know if you guys are gonna play it or not, but it was just the weirdest, most, quite frankly, honest thing she has, because typically the excuse is, oh, they pay people, oh, I'm busy, oh, my foot hurts, something like that. But she just said something to the effect of,
oh, he found
yeah,
it.
here, well, yeah, if you want to play that and then scroll like, I don't know, 45 seconds or a minute into it, that lady, because you're looking for that lady right there.
Agent Cameron here.
She looks like
At the
wow,
cart
she looks like
return.
she looks like a great time.
It's funny, yeah.
This fella.
As Agent Cameron's
The
walking up,
cart
there's a
return
guy.
over there, where that guy just went.
Okay, yeah.
The carts go to the cart return, not up on the curb over there, young lady.
Is it just me or is he trying to sound like you?
I'm having a meltdown, so I'm gonna
You want to talk about it?
Yeah, a little
sure you
bit. If you
about it?
pull it back like 15 seconds there.
I feel like he's trying to
Cart return,
imitate
not up
you.
on the curb over there, young lady.
I'm sorry, I just broke up with my boyfriend and I'm having a meltdown, so I'm gonna.
You want to talk about it?
Not.
You sure you want to talk about it?
Ah,
I can discuss things with you.
Yeah, so she drives off from
We got
there.
a
She
cart
takes
next
the
one from
magnet and
Magnet.
just
Okay, I'm
leaves
gonna
it.
get that to you.
oh my god.
Yeah, I just broke up with my
Stick right
boyfriend and
there,
I'm having
right here
a
on the
meltdown.
tender. That's not sticking.
Oh my
Gosh dang it,
god.
tiddlywinks.
Yeah, so
Backwoods.
that's
Yeah,
probably
none
my
of this stuff.
favorite, just
That car must
weird
be all plastic or
excuse.
something.
First of all,
Oh, well,
this
that's the first
excuse
on
does
that.
not hold any water because if you just broke up with your boyfriend, guess what you got a lot of now is time. Okay, because you're not off to go see anybody. You have time to bring your cart back. You know what's good for returning? Why don't you just cry? Use your tears to propel you towards the cart return.
Yeah,
What
so
a cope.
that's one of my favorite ones. And people
She's
will point
doing
out that
the
I've had a
damsel
couple.
in distress
Sorry?
routine.
When do you feel like hell just getting out is daunting? Yeah, no, I mean, I understand that. I agree to some degree that, yeah, people,
Oh,
and
Janelle.
that's one thing that people bring up, not typically on the spot, but they'll bring it up in the comment section, as they'll say. And when I was on Dr. Phil, he brought this up too. Was
You
a
were on
version of,
Dr. Phil?
yeah, it would have been late November 2021.
Oh wow.
And one of the things he brought up that a lot of people bring up is what this the chatter just brought up there was that, well, you don't know what people are feeling like. You don't know what they're going through. And that's true, obviously. But have you ever been, first off, you got out of the house, you got into the store. Again, you've done.
You put pants on and you got out in public. All right. You're already doing okay.
Right. You managed to buy groceries. And that's why when people bring that up, I say, well, you don't know what the next person's going through. The next person who can't open their back door or whose car gets hit by your cart, their mom could have just died. I doubt, because I always ask when people bring that up on the spot, they're like, like you saw it right there when she said my boyfriend broke up with me. He's like, well, you want to talk about it? We can discuss things.
Yeah. Let's talk about it over a cart.
Yeah. So I always ask, but when they say, oh, I'm in a hurry, or I'm like, oh, let's talk about it. Why? Because it instantly, when you scratch just the surface, that excuse falls apart as well. So I appreciate that people have bad days, but again, if it's that bad, you're getting Instacart.
Exactly. Or you're doing delivery, you're doing, if you're really depressed over a breakup, you should be having a lot of Taco Bell door dashed to you. So
right. Yeah. So, that's cute or whatever, and I get it, but yeah, it doesn't hold up to the excuse meter.
No. This is so interesting. Okay. So what were some of your, can you think of what was your scariest run-in? Because I hate conflict. That's why I do stand up, because I'm on stage, I'm away from people, and it's just me talking mostly, unless I have a delightful heckler. But you have to be not afraid of conflict to do what you do. And I commend you for it, and it's also you're out there just with a homemade vest. Really, you have no badge.
The original, if you want to pull up, if he wants to pull up while we're discussing this, the video, it's called Texas Fella. It would have been February 2021. The original vest, or the original thing, was just a t-shirt that said Cart Narcs. Then I kind of got a fishing vest with Cart. And then this is actually a Kevlar vest that was donated by a cop in Baton Rouge. Shortly after this video that came out of Texas, where Agent Cordell, he's our Texas Ranger agent, encountered a guy in a work truck, and it was a classic scenario. Like you said, you don't think anything's going to go south. He's got a cute little dog in his truck, but he left his cart kind of blocking half, the little end of the spot next to him. Could have taken it back. And as Agent Cordell was talking to this guy, it didn't take but 30, 45 seconds for this guy to up the confrontation. Because that's another thing people say. Is people say, why are you, meaning me, making such a big deal out of this? And I say to them, I am not. I am, at the most, at first, I'm making a polite ask. Two, I'm then maybe putting on the little quote, ticket, the little magnet or whatever. I'm not threatening violence. I'm not screaming. I'm not, the things that I do, it's kind of a like the mildest version of Bugs Bunny. It's like a little cute little whatever. I'm slightly teasing these people. So that, like you mentioned, there is not a big confrontation. That's a different one, actually. It's Texas. That's Texas is messy. Although this is a good video as well, because if you just play this and see what this guy says to Agent Cordell.
Right there. That's not where the cart goes. Hello, Agent Cordell with the Cart Narcs. That's not where the carts go. We got a bumper magnet for you. There you go.
Oh, shit.
Yes, sir, that's not where the cart goes, sir.
What do you stick on that car?
It's a bumper
Oh,
magnet.
my God.
Sir, it's
I'll
got
make it out with the accent.
Do that
what
again.
number? Why is that, sir? You can have that one.
He looks like a
Don't
high
ever
school
touch my
principal.
car.
What's wrong with your card, sir?
Ridiculous.
Well, sir, you left your card out where it could touch other people's cars, sir. All right, here, let's add our phone number on it. No, sir, I want you to call.
Then get the hell
I
away.
want you to take your cart back. That's what I want you to do.
Fuck yourself.
Why? Why do you want me to F myself, sir?
I see this
So your
cope
car is-
so
Get the
often.
hell out of my way.
Well, I'm not in your way, sir. That cart's in somebody's way now.
Right?
Well, not until you take your cart back.
Oh,
There you go, sir. Right there.
my God.
Sir, what's the problem?
I'm fixing to kill you
Why would you do that, sir?
because you ain't worth a piece of
Fixing.
shit.
I am too, sir. I'll block your tax, sir. Thankfully, I'm a
This
good
guy
dodger.
couldn't run
Yes, sir. Can
one
you just take
lap.
your cart back?
Well, he's about to bring something else up.
Sir, I'm a cart
no.
narc. Agent Cordell.
And I'm a killer.
Well, sir, that's not nice.
What?
Stick right in your forehead.
Sir, that's against the law.
I don't give a damn. What you did is harassment.
No,
He
it's
said,
not,
I'm
sir.
gonna
I'm
put six
not-
right in your
That
forehead.
cart
It kind of
is
goes
harassment.
off
What do you
from
why
here.
you keep approaching me,
Killer,
sir?
he
I
said.
don't give a damn. Your forehead.
Sir, that's against the law.
I don't give a damn.
He
What
looks
you
like
did
my.
is harassment.
No, it's not, sir.
Wow.
Yes.
Thankfully, I'm a good dodger. No, sir, can you just take your cart back? Sir, I'm a cart narc. Agent Cordell.
And I'm a killer.
Well, sir, that's not
I'm
nice.
fixing to put about 6 right
Oh
in your
my
forehead.
God.
Sir,
He
that's
looks
against the
like my
law.
college.
I don't give a
He
damn.
looks like my
What
college
you did is
swim coach.
harassment.
No, it's not, sir.
Yes, it is.
That car could harass somebody.
It turns out he was
Is
not
his
lying.
name, is his name Phil
Stay away from me.
Palumbo?
Sir, that car.
Wow.
Will you take your cart
Well,
back
I
where it
put this
belongs,
video
sir?
out, right?
Please.
And
This
then
is
people,
insane. Because first of all,
In
you
the name of
leave
Texas,
your
I beg you,
car.
sir.
You're in a store for like an hour shopping. Anything can happen to your store, to your car while you're out and
I'm a nice
about.
guy, not an
But
effing a-hole.
the cope of this
Sure,
sticker
you want
is
this, sir?
this magnet is gonna scratch the paint off my car is like
look, if someone
so
bumps into that car,
stupid
that
to
hit
me.
easily hits that other
Oversee it.
car, or that one person opens their door. You can't open your passenger door.
You're out in
but
the
anyway,
world. Things
So
can
it turns
happen.
out, after I
not
put this
very
video
neighborly
out,
of him.
a bunch of people that was outside of Dallas sent me a video from CBS, the local, I think CBS News, where apparently that man the year before had shot someone on this train system there.
No.
So when he says, "I'm a killer, I'm going to put 6 in your forehead," that is not only terrible use if he is a gun owner, which he appears to be, but he's bragging about shooting people over, minor
Oh my
social slights.
God.
But the other time
That
I
is
hit gun was,
that's small PP energy for sure.
well, sure, exactly. And if you can pull up the other one for also coincidentally from Texas, called Texas Fella, Fella.
We love Texas.
Yeah, well, that was a threatened gun pulled on me. I've had 2 guns shown to me. All 3 of
my-
those were in Texas.
See, we love Texas.
So
Wow.
it's fun.
So there's a difference. So people have shown their gun to you. People have taken it out and like waved it at you, pointed it in your
we're
general
about to see right
direction.
here. So this is Georgetown, which is north, like 45 minutes north of Austin. There's a guy in his work truck.
Weepskeep wheel, weepskeep weep weep. That's not where the car goes, sir. Come on now. Said, the cars don't go there, sir. Agent Cordell here, car narcs.
Oh my
Got car returns all over the place around here.
Are you gonna get it for me?
No, sir, I'm a cart narc.
Oh, he's
I
teasing
knock
me
out
there.
people that don't get the carts.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, let them know. Let them know I didn't
Do it
put
for
that.
me.
Well, I'm gonna let you know first.
Is that a
I'm giving you chance to
Chihuahua?
redeem yourself.
Oh no, I'm good.
Why? How can you be good being a lazy bones?
I'm
Sorry,
good.
man. I hope you have a good day.
Well, I'm gonna give you our bumper hood of. Well, it's more of a service vehicle than a car.
This is my company. This is my truck. Don't touch it.
Well, this is just a magnet.
Don't do it. Don't put that shit.
It's
on my
non-marking,
car.
sir.
Oh
Don't- Yeah,
shit.
Well, let me see what it says.
Ah!
Yeah, so that's
Oh my God.
a little chihuahua
that's a
sitting
gun.
there.
The poor Chihuahua has
All
to
right,
witness
he just
this.
brandished a weapon at me. That is the
So yeah,
first
it kind of
car
goes off from there. I actually ended up
We're
talking to the
getting
police
daily
in that
That's
situation
more
where,
small PP energy.
yeah, exactly. And it's like, and people will say, "Oh, well, you can't." It's
We are not a,
idiots who are armchair
armed
lawyers, and it's funny. I just had like a long talk with a lawyer about a lot of this stuff. We'll say, "Oh, that's my car. If you approach me, I'm allowed to defend it with lethal force." No, you're not.
It's a car. It's not your home, babe.
Well,
What
no,
if you
well,
live?
beyond
What if
that-
you
beyond
live in your
that-
car?
Beyond that, you could watch because we had like a 30-second, 45-second conversation about what was going on. He was teasing me, "Hey, why don't you put it back for me?" So he had like the self-defense angle goes out the window because he knew exactly what I wanted from him. He knew what the magnet was. It wasn't a gun. It wasn't a knife. He didn't even pretend that it was. But it shows you, like I said, small PP energy.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
I
that's
think that
happened
somebody-
a couple times. That's the closest I've physically been to a gun. But obviously, people will say, "Oh, you puss, you ran away." Like, yeah. What do you want to do? What do you want me to? You want someone points a gun in your face and you're standing there and be like, "Oh, okay, let's hang out."
It is interesting to know, and it's interesting that you've had lawyers that have reached out to you. What are the legalities here for you, like being on camera, like versus, on private versus public property? What is considered trespassing? What
Right.
if somebody lives in their car? Can they defend it like a home?
Well, they'll in certain states, the castle doctrine does extend to your car, but that again, that has to do with me trying to break in, committing which I'm obviously not. Like that first guy we just played there who said that's harassment. No, it's not. A lot of people, that's the number one legalese thing people throw at me is you're harassing people. And that's not what that's because they throw that out and they think they've got a case there. And that's not what legal harassment is. Look, I just say every time people do that, I say, well, first off, Google harassment arrests in your state or whatever. And it's basically, it's stalking, it's persistent, long-term over, days, weeks, months,
Yeah,
et
this
cetera.
is just one time. It's not.
Right, this is one time for maybe 2, 3, 4 minutes like you're watching here. And it's also with a direct purpose. I'm not doing it for the intent of hurting or harming or scaring anybody, obviously. So that's the number one thing legally I get. This is harassment. No, it's not. If it were, I would be arrested in every state in America, basically, and Canada, and wherever else I've been, because I'm giving all the evidence in the world. So those people, they just don't know. They're trying to throw some legalese. Trespassing is if I'm ever asked to leave the store, which a handful of times I have been, mostly not. Mostly
Asked to leave a store parking lot,
right.
like,
And I've never argued with that employee if that happens. Most employees, and you see it in some of the videos, they'll go, "Hey, how's it going? Nice to meet you. Can I get a photo?" A handful though times I have, and I always say absolutely yes, no problem, because I'm not there to make the employees' jobs harder. Because they typically, when that happens, the few times that has happened, they've gotten like a phone call from inside the car, maybe, and they only know one side of the story. They just want to make things smooth and go away. I get that. I never like fight them on it. I'll explain my side of the situation. But if they say leave, I leave. And if I didn't leave, then the trespassing thing comes up. Public versus private property / being on camera is the same idea. Is people, like in some of the videos, they'll say, "Oh, you're taking my video." I was like, well, yeah, you didn't care about the 15 cameras in the store and everyone else's camera, on their phone, who you could be in the background of, et cetera, et cetera. You didn't care about that because you weren't being naughty, essentially, and it's the term, it's not actually in the law typically, but the term kind of is expectation of privacy. If you're in a public place like a shopping center, you have no expectation of privacy because they have now these little like mobile command units with cameras in them, so those are kind of the legal things that get thrown around a lot. And again, if I were violating any of those things, I'd be in jail many times over.
wow. What would you say is like the ratio of lazy bones to angry bones to helpful bones? Actually, you
Right.
probably don't call somebody like a helpful bone. There's no compliment for bones, like bones compliments.
Right. No, and I probably like this is what we were talking about earlier. I probably will start using that now because you put a little seed in my head there. And yeah, because people will bring that up too. Like they'll say, "Oh, this just happened." Other people do it, and then I'll point to the cart return with 20 carts in it, and I'll say, "Well, most people don't. Most people do that." And that ratio, it's probably it's very much a broken windows or broken carts theory. Is that it's 80-20, in the raw, 80% take them back, 20% don't. But the first thing I do when I get to a lot is I start cleaning things up because I find, number one, it gets rid of that excuse that other people do it. And number two, it makes people take their cart back subconsciously because they're like, oh, everyone else is doing it. Like when we talk about, broken windows is, there's graffiti, there's trash, there's broken windows. Who cares if I do it too? It's the same psychology that every human has. So yes, like 80-20. And then the people I bust, it's maybe 50% I'll just say, okay, I'm sorry. 50% will give me some kind of pushback. And then of that 50 that are pushing back, maybe 25% of those will, cuss, chase, go back and forth, some form of that. And there's a very few that'll pull a gun on me. Only a couple so far.
Has anyone like physically hit you, shoved you, touched
Yeah,
you?
a lot of people have tried, and I always run away. People, and they're, the tough guys on the internet will say, "Oh, what are you running away for, puss?" And I'm like, and I always say, this is a non-violent project. Like, I'm not here to start fights, to get into fights, even if I can win. Although, I will admit, last summer in outside of Portland, in Aloha, which is a city in Oregon, this guy, this old, middle-aged guy, was screaming, yelling, like hissing at me. Could have driven away like that woman we saw with the dumped boyfriend. He could have driven off, but he gets out and he runs at me with his fist. Yeah. And I said, you know what? I'm gonna let him take a swing at me. And then I just blocked it with my hand and was like, now, sir, what are we doing here? But that was intentional. That was me.
Whoa. Hold on. Are you a big guy? Like, are you a tall guy?
I literally just got out of the gym downstairs. If I'm all sweaty right now.
You're all jacked. Oh, wow.
But no, I'm not a big dude. I'm 5'10".
You're not short. 5'10" is not short.
But yeah, but I'm not like 6'5", 250. I'm 5'10", 200. I played sports and stuff like that.
All right, you're not small.
I'm not an MMA fighter. I'm not some trained so and so. I don't pretend to be a tough guy.
But you're not like Bagel Boss showing up. You know what I mean? You're not like Because
It's
that
funny. I
was
was in New Jersey a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, "Oh, Bagel Boss." Oh, it's actually you always forget if you don't live there that it's not a store. It's just or it's not a guy. It's a store.
it's a
But
state of
people call him
mind.
the Bagel Boss.
Uh,
But yeah, but I think people sense that they sense quote weakness because they know I'm not going to fight them, and
mm.
the guys who do try to fight me in almost all cases could not beat me up, but they see me back up. I'm not I'm not in their face, and they just this again it's all animalistic. It gets to why I think they pursue it.
Some I mean, this is a guy, well, girls too, but some people truly like they have these days, and I know this from just like being in New York City for years. Like they truly wake up and they just want to fight somebody that day. And I'm sure like someone having like a cart narc is like exactly the trigger. They're like, yes, let's go.
This little dork. Yeah, and you see this the other place you see that behavior is football games. You see, every season there is, you see the Dallas Cowboys fans fighting with the Raiders fans, and like you're saying, most of those dudes got up that day and they said, "All right, let's go. Today's the day. I'm gonna fight. I'm not taking anybody's crap, etc., etc."
I really commend you for doing what you do.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Whew, I would have a tough time doing what you do. Mark of Reality, thanks for becoming a new member. Wow, Elsid Barrett, not all heroes wear capes. Thank you for your service. Also, have you considered wearing a cape?
No, that's a good idea because that could be like a fun, personality because a lot of what I do with the magnets and the voices and all that stuff, it's to be silly. It's to be humorous. And any ideas about doing that, to be the more silly I can be, like with a cape would be hilarious. So that's a good idea.
This is one of my all-time favorite videos.
Oh, that's from a Costco in the Valley.
Well, you should because they want.
Shut your mouth, punk.
What does the sign say on the cart return? Please return cards here.
Yeah, and the cart's right there.
But that doesn't say please return cards there. You're getting a put magnet to shame, sir.
Who's this person wearing a mask? This might have been
Now, sir-
peak pandemic.
I will as soon as you return your cart.
Look at this, same again, middle-aged.
Would you like a magnet instead?
Wants to
This
fight.
is your pre-code demographic.
Shit
Exactly.
off my fucking car.
As soon as you take your cart.
Get the fuck out of here, motherfucker.
Oh no!
Why you
Angry
Get the
Bones.
fuck out of here. I'll beat your fucking ass.
Sir, no, you won't. Look at yourself.
Exactly.
Perry Caravello alive. Look,
This guy
sir.
practically falls out of his own car opening the door. He's not going to hurt me, but I
Sir.
don't know. In his head, he thinks he
He
can.
give you two because you're being such an angry bones. Look at that.
Why does that make me
Matt,
laugh
flag
so
go.
much?
Because it's
You know what he's getting?
it's
This
stupid.
guy's so
It's
angry.
dumb.
He's
It's
getting-
so
So silly.
Double
So
magnets.
silly. I'm
And the
just saying
flag.
Angry Bones constantly.
Watch out behind you, sir.
There's something
jerk
so
face.
funny about putting a flag.
Please
on
be
somebody's
careful.
car.
Well, yeah, there's
Don't
so many
be a-
aluminum
can't hear
door
you.
panels these days.
It looks like he's just drove out of a car dealership or something.
He's in.
And that's how I bought that. That's made for car dealers. Yeah,
Sir.
I customized it with car narc stuff.
Why don't you just take your cart back?
Now,
that's
how
falling
did this interaction rate on the angry
As soon as you put your cart back, sir.
level?
Now,
Fuck yourself.
now, sir, they pay
I would
employees.
say as far as anger goes, it's probably a 9 or a 10.
No, you aren't. How old are you,
I'm
sir?
not scared because this guy is an old,
Sir.
he can
Look.
barely walk,
I'll beat
obviously.
your
But
fucking
again,
ass.
he
They
thinks
pay
he can hurt me.
employees
I
to do
don't
all
know
sorts
why.
of things. Do you go to the bathroom? Do you lock the keys in your car? Let me get you another one right there.
And he could
Do
leave
you go
at
to
any
the
point too. He
bathroom?
doesn't have to keep on getting out and going back and forth.
Oh,
But these
no.
people's ego
He doesn't
is
want
so,
magnets.
No, you do it. in
and
the
they know
stinking
they're
toilet.
wrong. I
That's
think is
where it
why
belongs.
he's so angry.
I think
He's so
he
wrong.
really
knows
doesn't want these magnets on his car.
I just put a magnet on your car to display what a lazy bones you are.
Get the fuck out of here.
How
Double
many
fuck, you
magnets
get
do you
more.
have on you at any
Sir, you
given
can be up out
point?
of here.
I try to
There's no
keep
one
4
for
or
you.
5 because, like you're seeing here, it's
please
a
be
very
careful
common
driving,
move.
sir.
People will throw them at me, so I try to keep a handful.
Oh my
Whoa,
god!
okay. Hands off. He's being ridiculous.
This was a
Goodness
level
gracious.
9 or 10.
He
on the
didn't
Angry
address any of
Bones
my points
meter.
Yeah,
about.
but as far as being scared, obviously not, because this guy he's an old
sign.
man, essentially.
He's not that old. He's still got it.
Well, I
This
mean,
is,
and then he gets out, and then they think this is the other thing about how shallow these people's thinking is. They think, oh, I'm gonna drive 10 spots down, and he won't see me. Just go
You saw
home
him.
if you're that worried about it.
This is my good friend Perry Caravello from Perry Caravello Live.
Oh yeah, he's
and
he's a
I'm
known
a nice guy who's trying to help you be
commodity,
a nice person.
unfortunately.
Are you a bad guy? Are you a bad
and
person?
I don't mean to
What's going
surprise
on
you,
here?
but he's just joined the
Goodness
stream,
gracious.
and I think
not
he
to
may
because you
have a
noticed.
bone to pick with you.
Oh,
I
I'd love to hear what his
I
excuses
hope
are.
you don't mind that I bring him on.
People have brought this up before. Do you want to talk to the people that you've encountered? Yes, absolutely. Because hopefully, number one, they've changed their mind, and number two, I'd love to hear the excuses they now have.
Well, here we go. Hello, Perry.
You're in deep shit with me, girl.
What? Let me put you in the middle. Wait,
You're
let me
in
put.
deep
I'll separate
shit with
you.
me.
I'm
Why?
in deep shit
Why?
with you.
Why would you put this fuck on your damn show?
Because I like what he does.
I like what he does. Oh, he's a card narc. He likes to fucking bother people when they're busy.
No, you're not that. What are you busy? What are you busy doing that? What were you busy doing that day?
Shopping.
Oh, you were done shopping.
Disturbed by you.
No. And so the next person
disturbed by you. And
no, so you were busy before you. That doesn't make any sense. You were done shopping.
You're lucky. You're effing lucky. I didn't catch you. Beat your freaking ass.
With what?
And then
with what? Those little girl hands?
And leave you freaking toothless.
No, I'm right here. First off, how old are you and how tall are you and how big are you must weigh like 250 and you look like you're 5'4".
250? Try 210.
He works out, right? Perry works out.
You little fucking bitch.
Now, look, I hate to be insulting here, but you brought it up first. You are not busy. You're not a busy person. I can look. You're not busy cleaning your house, obviously. Look behind you.
Oh, nice.
Well, this is called work.
He gets a lot of packages. He gets a lot of packages, Sebastian.
Yeah, I see a lot of popcorn tins in the background. That's your work.
He gets a lot of things sent to him.
That's been given to me years ago.
Oh, okay. So just leave it on the dining room table like a slob. All right.
Stop trying to change the subject, you dirtbag.
Busy.
No, okay. The point is, you said you were too busy to take your cart back. The next person that pulls in that spot, maybe an old lady, and now they can't.
I was a grocery clerk for over 11 years.
Okay, and what does that have to do with anything?
What do you mean? What does that have to do with anything?
He's done manual labor.
Grocery clerk, you're bagging groceries. You're getting grocery carts,
right?
At the grocery store.
There's no quotes needed for that.
He's worked the carts before.
But you just raised a great point. You just defeated your own dumb argument. You're bagging groceries.
My dumb argument.
Let me explain.
I'm the grocery clerk getting carts.
Let me explain. Listen, sir. Listen, sir. If you just said you're bagging groceries, which means you're not getting carts 24/7, which means the next person that pulls into that spot has to deal with your lazy cart that you left there blocking part of the spot because there aren't people out in the cart returns 24/7. That's why they have the cart returns. That's why at that Costco, they have a sign that says, please return carts here. We cannot be held liable for damages. I pointed that sign out to you in the video and you ignored it because you are a lazy bones.
They're not demanding, scumbag.
Exactly. And you're too lazy to reply nicely to a polite ask.
Who the hell are you? You're
the cart narc.
Perry, do you feel like since some time has passed since your cart narking have your feelings changed at all on what to do with your cart?
You want me to give you my changed attitude on the way I feel about putting carts away? Because of this piece of dog shit at the Sepulveda Costco, I will never return my cart.
No.
Never.
Mr. Caravello.
I will actually put dog shit in the fucking cart.
So you want to create a health hazard for the next shopper?
No.
What if the next shopper is Chrissie Mayr and she shows up?
Well, now he's mad at me.
What if Chrissie wants to pull in? What if Chrissie wants to cut? What if Chrissie goes shopping? She moved to LA. She wants.
You're a stupid magnet.
Can I finish one sentence with this idiot? What if Chrissie wants to move to LA to pursue her dream, which she's obviously living very well?
Which my dream is to date Perry Caravello.
And she wants to pull into the spot that you just used, and your cart is sitting there waiting on her, and she, a lovely young lady, has to get out and move your cart because you were too lazy to use the cart return.
Excuse me, Agent Sebastian Cartnark. Chrissie, honey, again, congratulations on your wedding. Okay?
Thank you.
Congratulations.
What if one of her friends? You have some great friends. You know Leanne girl?
Back to you, dirtbag.
What if Leanne moves out there and wants to use it?
Yeah.
Because of the way you scratched it. All those stupid magnets.
Oh, no.
Well, Mr. Caravello, number one, they don't scratch. Number two.
You are going to see me in court because you're going to be paying for the car.
What would you say is the
no.
first off, for folks who don't know, what is the year, make, and model and rough value would you say of your pile of crap car?
Pile of crap car? It's a 2000 Corolla that drives like brand new.
Okay, the paint
good
didn't look
cars.
brand new to me.
And because of your stupid throwing of magnets all over my hood and shit, you damaged it.
And
Oh
Mr.
my
Caravello,
God.
your cart that you left in that parking spot could damage the next car that pulls in or the
Could
adjacent car.
have.
Sorry?
But no, excuse me. My carts, when I leave the carts, I put them seated in the tree.
Which doesn't make a difference because it still hangs out a foot or two into the parking spot. So if someone, let's say they're pulling, let's say a mother with her children or a hot girl, maybe Leanne or whoever from Chrissie's world, backs in and wants to like open the back of their hatchback or a minivan or and your cart's sitting there blocking this woman.
Yeah.
No, if they're gonna back in, they're gonna see where they're backing. They're gonna see.
And then they gotta watch out for your cart because you're too lazy to use the cart return like you know you should.
Excuse me.
That couldn't be more black and white. I mean, look at yourself, look at your house. You're clearly, and Chrissy, you asked earlier, and I know this is your friend. You asked what kind of person doesn't put their cart back, and it's slobs like this person who lives in a look at that grease chair. How much grease is on that chair?
He gets a lot of McDonald's sent to him, Sebastian.
He looks like he eats it all too.
He's dealing with a lot of fish fillets coming through in and out of there.
Garbage sent to me.
Do you eat it 24/7?
Majority of the stuff behind
Hi,
me.
Gina Carano's in the chat.
Oh.
Hello, Gina.
Can't respect a lazy bones.
Oh no.
Gina Carano, she's a
Gina is online and she's saying,
Gina's in the chat.
and people
Gina, when you're gonna get your tail over here,
probably never looking at that dump.
Oh
and this
no.
piece of garbage below me is a harassing piece of garbage.
No, you're harassing people by leaving your cart out. But let's go back
I'm
to
harassing.
Yeah,
I'm not harassing anybody because I take my cart and I put them in the plant in the plant.
Oh, because that's where carts go.
That's
Now,
not where the
'cause now,
cards go.
again,
my car. That's where I'm gonna put my carts.
Okay, Mr.
I don't need to put it
Caravello,
in the
look,
fucking rack.
you're clear.
I used to work the business. I know exactly what to do.
Then can you not
Thank you
read?
for your
Can you not
service.
read the sign that says "Please return carts here"?
Oh, sure. I can read the sign. Doesn't mean that.
And you say "Screw you" to the shopping center. You say "Screw you" to the employees who have your former job.
Idiot boy. Okay,
I can
was
read.
in the
That's a
business.
sick burn.
I know exactly what a lot of people are doing day in and day out. They don't have time to move their cart from.
I go
their
back.
vehicle after they're done putting their groceries from their cart into.
Let's
their
not
cart.
talk about a lot of people. Let's talk about you. What were you rushing home to do? I've been sent commentary that maybe you were rushing home to give a man a hand job.
That Costco, the moment I was in the attack.
Mr. Caravello, I've been texted, but the people say that you were rushing home to give a man a hand job.
Oh, this is a super chat from Michael
yourself, you flamer.
Wangler. Do you think
It's okay
Perry
if you were, but you can admit it.
Do you think
Get off
Perry
my
Francis
stream right
Caravello
Right now,
refused?
I want him off.
This is not your stream. This is Chrissy's stream.
No. Hold on, we have a super chat. Hold on, Perry. Hold that thought. Hold
Is
that
that what the
thought,
stains on your chair are? Is that semen, sir?
Perry,
It's
hold
okay
that.
if it is.
Hold that thought, Perry. Do you think Perry Francis Caravello refused to put his card away because of what happened to him with that casting director back in 1992? It's a
You're
decent
gonna lose
question.
me, Chrissy. If you keep putting this garbage on the internet, you're gonna lose me.
What, the super chats?
No,
These
no.
people are supporting Chrissy's stream.
But this
You don't
person
care about
is
other
my
people,
this
obviously.
person is my guest. I wanted to ask him about the
Why are you
science.
having him as your guest? He's not
Because-
even a celebrity. He's a scumbag.
Oh, okay. Look, I never bring this up. Except that
I
I'll
have
address this
people
point.
who are
Chrissy,
not celebrities on my show all the time. Like all my friends are not celebrities.
and Chrissy, how many subscribers do you have on YouTube, Mr. Caravello?
Oh God, me?
Not you, Chrissy, Mr. Caravello.
How many does Perry have? Well, he does okay. Let's
Yeah,
see.
again, this is not about popularity. It's about doing what's right.
Perry has 17.3 thousand subscribers.
That's cool.
I do what's easy and what's right.
Obvious. No, not what's right. You do what's wrong. You do what's easy.
Oh.
You take the shortcut, like you apparently did in 1992, from what I understand.
Okay, I'm a lot older than you now, dude.
Experienced.
So and the experience that I've done in the grocery business.
Look, forget that grocery business crap.
Gina wrote to you again, Perry. Gina says, I take my cart back every time. It's a good excuse.
How much younger you are than I am.
Look,
Good
Mr.
exercise.
Caravello, I've heard that garbage age thing. There are videos on my channel of 80 and 90-year-old grandmothers taking their carts back. That's not a good excuse.
Well, that's good for them then.
Yeah, and you not
now because of your bullshit that you caused me in my car. Now
again, what are your listen, loser? What are your estimated damages?
Oh no!
$1,000 with all the money.
no.
Your car's not worth $500. It's a Kia, right?
You don't know what you're talking about.
How do you remember his car?
Oh, because I've seen the video. It's a little brown Kia.
Wait till I get a estimated
Value
yeah,
on that
now,
vest.
Mr. Caravello, how about I sue you for terroristic threats? You threatened
paint job and take you to court on this.
You look like
I have. Hold on. We have a relevant super chat here from Michael Wangler. Was
My
Perry?
middle name is not Francis. You fucking.
All right. Okay, I won't read it. Was Perry the only person to call the complaint number on the sticker and leave an 8-minute message?
Right, that's a good point. Yeah, on you saw in some of our videos, you have our phone number on there. Perry's was the longest video, and he threatened me, which I'm going to sue you for making terroristic and criminal threats against me.
Oh, don't sue him.
Well, if he brought up the lawsuit thing, apparently we're open game now. And look, he's not the only one. I get 1 or 2 a year. His was the law. Sorry, I didn't hear you over all the cum you're guzzling. Now, look, the point being this, that he's not the only one, but he's definitely the longest one.
Longest message. Wow. Okay. That's something, Perry. That's nice. Are you upset? You're mad at me.
Stupid ass out, you scumbag.
I'm going to sue your butts out.
Nobody sue anybody. This is, come on. We can.
Look, I'll respect Chrissy's wishes, and I won't sue you if you won't sue me. Can we agree on that?
For throwing
yeah, because you threatened to hurt me.
My car to scratch the shit out of it.
Your car's worthless, sir. Much like the rest of your life.
Oh. No.
You won't be smiling in court when I take you down.
Oh,
I thought you were going to punch my teeth out.
Cart court.
Who's your lawyer?
Don't worry about it.
Probably a
I need to worry about it because you're going to sue me, apparently.
He's probably got a high-powered Hollywood lawyer. I would be careful.
Oh, yeah. Who's yeah, you'll
lawyers are.
Is it Johnny Cochran because you like his last name?
Johnny Cochran hasn't been with us for many years.
Perry, this is one of your fans. Oh my God, Perry, you're supposed to be on vacation. Love you, brother. President Jimmy Carter is here. He is dying. Love you, brother.
Oh,
I don't know.
Why is he still alive and still bugging me, trying to act like he's
a former president is saying hello, and you think that's bugging you?
And me being on vacation, I gotta watch you on the internet and interview this piece of dog shit.
I thought Chrissy was your friend.
I know. I thought we were friends, Perry.
Cart Narcs. Look at his stupid.
I think it looks cool. He looks like Secret Service.
I have a badge, actually. I'll show it to you.
Are you even a cop?
This question's for you, Perry. Chrissy, can you ask Perry about him moving to Florida? Congrats.
Okay. I go to Florida too.
Never, ever live in the state of Florida.
What's wrong with Florida?
For my neck. Way too freaking humid for my neck.
Okay.
You know who lives in Florida? Some of your biggest fans. But here's my badge.
Yeah, I know. I got a lot of fans in Florida. I even have my.
Wow. Hold on. Let's look at this badge here. Wow. That looks pretty legitimate.
Candy store badge.
That's candy store badge. Where's your Lazy Bones badge, sir? Well, actually, I can see it all behind you.
I would love a Lazy Bones badge.
Well, yeah, he lives in his Lazy Bones badge. You can see by the disgustingness.
KJ Fury, I always put my cart back. Yet this guy, this guy's a D bag.
Look, don't talk about Perry like that.
Oh,
Perry's a nice. Perry's kind of a mean.
Perry's a nice guy. I think he'll come around.
Put your carts back. That's your business.
No, it's everyone else's business because the next person has to deal with your cart.
I'm pissed at this scumbag, and because of what he's doing is the reason why I'm not going to put my carts back anymore.
Oh,
Perry,
no.
how do you expect to get women in your life if you're going to be irresponsible and messy?
Irresponsible and messy? No, I'm actually a very organized human being.
Is that why there's boxes and garbage? And is that like a
you know what Perry does put back? That pussy.
Oh,
I don't know. I was saying you put that pussy back. I don't know. I was trying to
Why did you
give
go
you a
down that road?
compliment. I
She's
don't
trying
know.
to be
I
nice
don't
and
know. I
fun,
was trying to
warm
be
and
like a
lovable.
wingman,
Yeah,
like a
she's trying to
hype
help
man.
you.
Wingman, you.
Well,
Wing person.
Then
She's
bring
the-
all your girlfriends over here and leave them here.
All right. Maybe if you start putting your carts back, I'll send my girlfriends over.
yeah, guess who likes me more than you, Perry? Her girlfriends.
Hold on, Sebastian. If Perry invited you to a pool party at his apartment complex, would you forgive him for the cart incident?
Yes, that would be a good olive
He's
branch.
not invited to my home ever.
What's your? Can I ask your
Never.
address?
What?
Can I ask what your address
And if
is?
somebody puts my address on the internet, I
Don't
will
do it.
fucking sue them.
That would
Oh
be
yeah, no,
bad.
don't do that. We don't involve doxing. But no, that's what I want. I would like, as much fun as we're having. You know, I'm teasing obviously a little bit, but that's what I would like. I would like for people to watch these videos, see what idiots they are, and say, you know what, I was a dumb idiot, moron, and I can be
an
better.
idiot. Go for it. Keep
And
going.
then, would you like to? I would love to come to a pool party at your house, sir.
That sounds fun. How
Not
about this one
invited
from
here,
John
okay?
Jammin?
Perry
I already
is
did
not
this.
moving to Florida. Out of the question. I'm not
Oh.
leaving the state of California. End of
Oh,
story. End
okay.
of fucking story. I'm
Okay.
not leaving
What
California.
about this one from Matt?
Oh.
Perry only puts his cart back when there's no humidity because he has a fake injury and a fake neck pain and blames it on
injury, honey.
airborne
Oh, so 3
moisture.
months in the fucking hospital is a fake injury. You fucking loser. 3 weeks in a coma is a fake injury. You fucking lowlife motherfucker. Oh yeah, real fake, huh? You call that a fake tracheotomy scar? Fuck you.
No, that's a good point. It goes back to what we mentioned earlier. A lot of people will have like one injury from forever ago, and they'll say, "Oh, that's why I can't take my cart back." Apparently, this Perry loser is one of those people.
Got nothing
Oh.
to do with it. All right.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly. You
just
could
fed
take
up
it
with your
back.
bullshit.
Oh, this is from Frank, my lover. I think Perry represents a lot of people who will leave their carts out just to spite Sebastian in the cart narcs.
There are a
Exactly.
handful of these jerks. Yeah.
Thank you, Frank.
And they don't care about the rest of the people around them. Was that
Frank
a
has your
jerking
back.
off motion? Is that what you do? He acts like he doesn't know what he just did.
He was just doing
Dude,
like, yeah.
I'm gonna get rid of that smile real fast.
How are you going to do that, Mr. Caravello?
You're
Oh,
gonna
no.
lose all that white in between those lips.
What?
Speaking of white on
Hey!
lips. Oh, see, I'm suing you. I am suing you for that. Speaking of white on lips, is
No,
that what I'm
don't
seeing
sue
on your
him.
lips right now, Perry?
Janelle says, what
You're
BS
gonna
copes?
get
This
sued
is
by
about
me,
money and
bitch.
it's gross. What's about money?
This is about money. Okay, this is I think what she's kind of saying. Two things is that this actually came up on Dr. Phil, is that cart narcs, you don't really believe in your cause. You were just doing this for YouTube, whatever, social media. And I'll say what I said to them at the time on Dr. Phil is, why would I have started this if I didn't believe in the cause? Did I think 4 years ahead of time to like figure out that I'm going to run into the loser dregs of the world like Perry Caravello and they're going to get weird and people are going to love seeing them? No, this is a legitimate cause that a lot of people have, but this is what I do in life is I do something about it instead of standing behind a computer all day. I'm actually out there making the world a better place, unlike this PCL jerk who lives in filth and tries to then spread his filth to the rest of the world.
Oh,
I don't live in filth, you fucking loser.
Look around yourself,
I'm
sir.
a very organized human being, you mother.
Why is that chair so greasy?
You know nothing about me.
I can look at it.
Not greasy.
Why are you wearing underwear?
What business is it? I've got underwear on now. Yes.
yeah.
It
we
looks
all
like I
have
can see
underwear.
something down there.
This is
What
from
business
Kuya.
is it of
Perry's
yours?
older brother, Kenny,
Why are you
always puts
staring
his
at my
carts
crotch,
away.
you fucking loser?
Oh, I didn't know this, that your older brother, Kenny, always puts his carts away. He even
Oh, that's
goes out of
nice.
his
So
way
what?
to put other carts away because he doesn't want the last name
I don't care
Caravello to
about
go
my
to shame
brother.
because of Perry. Oh, that's nice.
I support that. Say hello to your older brother if you ever see him. He sounds like a nice
Yeah.
guy.
Shout out to Kenny. Are you
Why
mad
are
at
you
me,
shouting
Perry?
out to my brother Kenny? He's a
Because he puts his
Perry,
carts
you
back.
know what? Honestly, I think Perry has a legitimate concern. I think he's had legitimate injuries. He's lived a life. I think his years spent in the service industry do give him a little bit of leeway here. Like I thank him for his
Thank you.
service. He's worked in the industry.
for me.
And Chrissie,
he's-
I appreciate being nice to Perry, but
Finally.
that
And
doesn't
He is
mean.
he is a good guy.
Thank you for
What
finally
good guys do you know that threaten to punch someone like me in the teeth?
He just did that out of
Look,
frustration. I don't think he would actually
You
do it.
have no life but to harass nice guys like me that's in a hurry to get somewhere.
Now, Mr. Caravello, I'm getting some texts right now that says you're not a nice guy. That says you cheated on your wife with a prostitute.
No, I don't think
Is that
so.
true?
What?
So
That
what?
was fucking 30
Did
years.
you?
That
Did
was
you,
over
Perry?
30 years ago.
Chrissy, maybe you want to follow up on this one.
That was
I
over
didn't know
30
you.
years
I didn't know you were
ago.
ever
What
married.
business is that of yours?
So that I don't think that's the thing a
30+
nice guy
years ago.
does.
And now who's saying this garbage?
I'm getting
Yeah.
someone named Hot Amy.
Oh, my disgusting sister-in-law. Why is she on here? Why?
She's not on the. No, she's texting me privately. She hacked into my phone
How
and
did
found
she
my
get
number.
your number?
If
I didn't give it to her.
If you're bringing this garbage up on my stream,
Well, you cheated on your
or
wife
on
with a
your
prostitute.
stream,
That's neither here nor there.
we're done.
Well, he's that because he brought up I'm a nice guy. That's character reference. That's allowed in court.
Send Bob Levy the link. How is Bob Levy going to help this situation? Perry, I think
Caravello.
Perry's had a rough life. He's a good guy. I think
I'm just fed up. I'm just fed
I
up.
think it's all the fish fillets he gets sent. I think that make him angry sometimes.
Those are
And,
delicious. Mr. Caravello, I'm still willing to help, to reach out, to come to your house with fish fillets, come to your pool
You're
party.
not allowed here. I don't want your goddamn fucking McDonald's shit at my home. I don't want your goddamn McDonald's. I don't want your goddamn Sprite. I don't want your goddamn cigarettes.
we got Chick-fil-A. You like Chick-fil-A when you were at Compound Media.
Goodbye.
Why are you?
Oh, no. Perry, no.
See, look.
Oh, no.
Obviously, I'm playing around with Perry a little bit there, but he just can't handle the truth, unfortunately. But thank you for being nice, Jane Chrissy. You're a nice girl, obviously. A nice lady, I should say.
I think he got a little triggered. I don't know. He should know that you're kind of doing this all in good fun. And it's really, at the end of the day, it's just shopping carts. It's not really life or death.
Exactly. And that's the point people make is they put it on me as if I'm making a mountain out of a molehill, and when it's completely the other way around.
Right. You're trying to make molehills out of mountains.
I'm trying to smooth molehills over into a nice, clean place where everybody can walk. Yeah.
Oh my God. Thank you for all these super chats, guys. From Wally World, my township requires stores to charge for shopping bags. Now all the handheld shopping baskets have been stolen. Do you have basket narc group? I was just about to ask about this because in case there's maybe a New York City division that wants to pop up and help narc in the bodegas.
Yeah, that people say those people who are trying to be tough guys at the internet, they'll say, "Oh, come to Manhattan or to Harlem specifically to try that." It's like, well, there aren't grocery carts on Manhattan. I do Long Island, Staten Island, Queens, that area. We do patrol there, but yeah, the hand basket thing is just disgusting.
Okay, interesting.
Harder to catch because they're smaller, obviously.
That's true. And they're easier. They're more breakable. From David Nelson, all hail the 199. We are Legion. That's a Geeks and Gamers reference. Thank you.
Oh.
Thank you, Sketch, for the super chat. Michael Wangler, again, tell Polar Bear Wangler says hi. I can't wait to see him get his hair dyed neon pink on the next stream.
Oh, that's a good point. We should bring that up real quick. Is that Perry is a known person, like he says. He's more famous than everybody here. And I knew that ahead of time. Now Perry doesn't know me. He doesn't know I'm going to be there. But people have this conspiracy that somehow Perry and I coordinate any of this stuff, and that is not true at all. He's just a known person. He's a known, in my opinion, not Chrissy's. He's a known jerk, in my opinion.
He definitely thinks he's very famous.
Well, again, he's known for different things. I suggest people do your own research, look into him if you like. But yeah, there's a little bit of a wink and a nod here, but only on my end, not on Perry's end.
We're all winking and nodding. Yes. Wesley. I can't read. It's all the White Claws. I love cart narcs. It isn't a big deal to put your cart back, people. Show some courtesy for your fellow man.
And that's the argument I have in general, but also what I was trying to make to Perry is the next person who pulls in that spot could be an old lady or a lady he wants to hook up with, one of Chrissy's friends, and he's introducing them.
You know, it would be so funny. I think if there was a hot woman and if he knew that it would impress her to put the cart back, I think he would do it.
Yeah, like whoever. I don't know if any of your regulars are LA locals, but maybe he could take them on a Costco date or whatever, and then at the end of it, see what happens.
I love a man who buys in bulk. From NF, get him Agent Sebastian. You're doing God's work. Wow. All right. So you
appreciate that.
A lot of supporters in the chat. Javier Cuesta, Jay-Z, love you, Perry. Don't be a lazy bones. We own you. Poop emoji. Don't be a late. Do you sell Lazy Bones shirts?
Actually, I just because it's a weird thing. My merch store really sucks right now. If you go to cartnarcs.com, we're all sold out of almost every size of t-shirts, all sold out. There are stickers still available. And that's because I had to run it through the company I worked for when I came up with Narcs, and it's for charity. And so I'm relaunching that with a larger variety of things soon. Not yet, but soon. It's funny. My mom sent me an email the other day. She's like, I saw a Narcs t-shirt on TMZ. And she sent me a screenshot from a friend of hers sent it to her. And it's like, oh, it was some knockoff Narcs t-shirt the guy bought on like Amazon.
Oh, wow.
So I appreciate their fans, on TMZ, live or whatever that show is. But, it's not an official merchandise thing, but it's not a big deal. This is not about, to answer that previous comment, this is not about the money. It's about the principle.
Yeah. Don't get any knockoff Narc shirts. I can't believe that.
Honestly, I don't care.
Imitation is the highest form of flattery. NF says, come on, guys, make peace and kiss it out.
And again, I was being a little silly with Perry, but I would be happy and would hope that he and everyone else in my videos would eventually have a come to Jesus moment.
No, he's not coming to Jesus. It feels like he's going to continue to be an angry bones. David Nelson, can we please move this to Critics Court with Gore?
Oh, is that? I'm not familiar. Is that like a show or a stream?
I guess. Is it like Judge Judy or something? But for
Let's take a look.
Lower level. John Jammin, everyone on Chrissie's show, please send Perry McDonald's. Perry loves McDonald's pickles and mustard. I love pickles.
Yeah, no, pickles are great.
Okay, a couple more. Jim Marshall, hey, Narcs, my mom wants to know when you're going to call her back. Love you, Dad.
Oh, that's sweet. We appreciate that and have a great, and always take your cards back, Jim.
Okay, good. Michael Wangler again. Agent Sebastian, are you sure Perry can't put his card away? Watch the videos of him trying to snowboard. He can't. He has a fake tattoo. He's a fake snowboarder. Oh, I
know. He sure hopped out of that cart and chased me around for a while. And as you saw, even on Chrissie's stream, he's got his fist ready to go.
What is he going to punch the computer? That's not going to be good.
I agree.
Big Pat, Perry left his wife for a man named Randy Callahan. You know what? It's showbiz. That's a rumor I've heard. It's part of showbiz, baby. Larry Fishmoss, Perry choked his wife over spaghetti. Maybe he's Italian, and Italians, they run hot. Janelle DH, I not only return my cards, I usually grab others too. But if this is really, it's just a terrible way to treat people, and this guy's a terrible person.
Now, I'll answer Janelle, since she's obviously a fan of yours here, and try to be nice about it. But I would ask, what am I doing? Like, I'm putting a magnet on a car. Like, if you hate it that much, number one, why? And number two, just throw it away when you get home. Like, I'm exposing, like we're seeing with this Perry guy, these other people. And like Chrissy said, I'm exposing a lot of small PP energy in the world. and the people say I'm abusing, harassing. No, I'm being, if you actually watch what I do, it's very light teasing at the most.
Right. I think maybe when you're somebody who's not used to being called out on things, like people in your life don't generally call you out on things. When somebody does, and it's a stranger, I can see how it's very triggering, because I just think of people in my family, and nobody called, like, you know what I mean? Like no one takes responsibility. Nothing is ever their fault. So
there's a lot of deflection, and and if everybody who's successful in the world will tell you, the moment I stopped doing that and making excuses for myself is when my life turned around.
Yeah. All right, we got a couple more. Ghost Crusaders, Perry is the best thing to happen to Narcs. Sebastian owes Perry the money for the scratches on his car. Pay him so he can move to Florida with Gina.
Again, he's welcome to try to sue me. And again, like I was being silly there when I was mentioning the shape of his car, but I can't imagine what those damages would be if there are scratches, which they're not.
Yeah, I feel like Perry drives the kind of car that I do, which is like more than 15 years old and falling apart.
Oh, yeah, me too. I don't have a, it's like a 12-year-old car.
I backed my car into a pole, and the side mirror exploded like maybe 2 months ago. I still haven't gotten it fixed. It's just taped up, and it literally looks like a homeless car. It looks like a very poor person drives the car, and that person is me. And I think there's There's something kind of fun about just leaving it taped up because like before it was just hanging like an eyeball and I was like, well, I would drive and it would bang against the side of the car.
Well, that's what Conan O'Brien always said. Is he always drove like some '94 Ford Escort? Even he's making millions at NBC. That was the story that
Really?
he told at least.
That's annoying when you're a millionaire and you still drive a piece of shit.
Hello, redheads.
Redheads, right? Stan M. This is a nice cozy stream. Thanks, Chrissy. Thank you, Stan. I wonder if that's my uncle. Probably not. He probably hasn't figured out YouTube. Haas Bonaventure, Agent S. Would you support legislation to force welfare recipients to put our carts away for us, tax-paying citizens? I'd be for it.
Yeah, I try not to bring class into this sort of thing or taxes. But yeah, it's funny actually. That brings something up. I got a photo sent to me a couple months ago, like where a high school coach took like all his like summer football practice kids to go return carts. Like they do a thing every day after practice. Like they'll pick up litter, they'll do nice, serve at a soup kitchen, talk to old people. And one of their days was they were cleaning up parking lots and getting carts like off the sidewalk. And especially if you live in a residential area and there's apartments nearby, people will take it down the sidewalk and dump it in their front yard or whatever. So it's cool that that certain people do that on their own.
Okay. The Optic Nerve says buy some art for your walls, cart Narcs.
Yeah, well,
yeah, you're definitely giving me like doctor waiting room vibes here.
This side I do have some down on the other side of the room over there, but yeah, that's it's the bachelor lifestyle. We don't buy.
Sebastian, you should buy like abstract art of shopping carts. Like you should have all shopping cart art around you.
Yeah, like a little studio. That'd be fun.
Even like a metal, like an Alexander Calder-esque, like hanging, diorama or something of just shopping carts.
Yeah, like a little chandelier.
A mobile.
Yeah, right.
Janelle is out for blood here. Lots of people out there have PTSD. You're unkind. She is not a fan of you.
I appreciate that, but if you look at what I'm doing, I'm not doing anything that would trigger PTSD. At the very this comes out a lot, but like if someone asking you a small social favor that is a common courtesy and you can't deal with that, you have bigger problems than me. It's
what it is that life is triggering, but you put a face to that, and it's easier to get mad at one specific person. And
if somebody comes up and says to you, let's take the same scenario, a shopping center, and they say, "Hey, I'm selling, candy for my football team, or do you have $1?" Don't tell me that's essentially the level. That's even less stress than what I'm providing. Essentially,
you make a lot of good points. There have been a lot of celebrities. I've noticed this conversation, this talking point coming up more and more often. I think over the last really 6 months is more celebrities kind of weighing in on this shopping cart conversation here. And here is Matt Walsh here just a couple days ago saying, I haven't been on Twitter much, but had to come back for the shopping cart discourse. The math here is simple. If you are capable of getting the cart in the first place and pushing it around the store, you are capable of putting it back. No excuses.
And that goes back to what we were saying earlier. But to Chrissy, and I don't like to name drop and except to prove a point in this case. So Matt Walsh, she's obviously on the right, but there are people on the left. I'll point out your fellow comedian, Whitney Cummings. This is one of her big pet peeves. She has numerous Instagram stories over the years. UFC fighters, George St. Pierre, John Jones, and politicians on the left and right have brought this up. So it's when you like what we're seeing here, when you sit down and analyze it, it doesn't make any sense to leave the cart out again, except for dire emergencies.
And he follows it up with, don't use your kids as a human shield to rationalize your laziness. I always manage to return my carts, and I have literally 1,000 kids. And this is something that Owen brought up, Owen Benjamin last night. He was like, oh, if you have a lot of kids, you shouldn't have to bring your cart back. And I'm like, just because you have a lot of kids, I'm like, it doesn't make you, invisible to life's responsibilities. You don't just get like the red carpet rolled out for you everywhere just because you had kids. Like you decided to have those kids. It's not like people, get disabled. That's not their choice.
Right. This comes up a lot. And I have a few videos where I show single parents, especially women, and I'm not like in their face at all, but I'm like, look at this mom. She's got 2-3 kids. She, number one, parks next to a cart return, and then it's super easy. There's no problem there. Or what she'll do is she'll load all her groceries in the cart or in the car, pile all the kids back in the cart like they were, take the cart back, walk them back, or vice versa. You know, when you show up to the store, again, the math is simple. When you show up to the store, all the kids get into the cart somehow. They can get out in the exact same manner. And again, park next to the corral, or at the very worst, ask an employee. There will always be a manager who will drop anything to help you out. Like, hey, I got a bunch of kids. Can you help me load the groceries?
Also, if you have kids, like isn't that why people have kids? Just have them do little chores. Like, have the one that can walk take the fucking cart back.
And I get tagged in Instagram reels all the time where people are like, hey, look at, and they have their little 5-year-old helping them out, like starting them early. So the kids thing, it gets thrown around a lot, but it is not a valid excuse.
Yeah, it's not. It's really not. The Texas Goat radio show. Carts Guy is one of the most important figures on American culture. Wow, high praise.
I appreciate that. And obviously, again, you know, this is all kind of a little cosplaying and fun and all that stuff, but it has raised an interesting social point that I think is overlooked a lot of times.
It really is. It's a symptom of a larger problem. Octavian, my favorite cart narcs, is de jure.
That's a long one. That was from in LA, North Hollywood area, and de jure is meaning like from the law, where a guy who apparently is one of the sovereign citizen types, which are there's a certain class of people who claim that there is no government that they have to obey. These are the people who don't do their taxes, etc.
Oh, libertarians, no anarchists.
So yeah, there's different flavors of it. I'm not super familiar, quite honestly. And so what this guy does is he spends, again, he could have left at any time. First excuse was I'm busy, just like we heard from Perry and others. Had to go to buy a battery, I think. But then he gets out a bunch of times, and he's got stacked in his windshield all these tickets he's gotten that I guess he doesn't pay for principal. And he argues about harassment and third-degree assault, and he doesn't need a license. It's a long video, so I don't know if we're going to go through the whole thing. But
California.
You just said you would show me.
He says he's wearing a shirt that says, chemically speaking, whiskey is a solution. So if that gives you a sense of this man.
But yeah, he has to prove himself right, and he could leave at any time.
I can show you the law.
I'm happy to see it. Will you present the law?
I'm not going to do that right now.
You just said you would show me the law.
Quit harassing me.
Please take your cart back.
I'm asking you to please.
I'm asking you to take your cart back. Which is
harassing.
See, you're throwing.
I feel like there's the common thread of the people that are most triggered by you are the same ones that have very high blood pressure. That's just my unscientific analysis of this.
Well, I think it goes with the middle-aged male thing we mentioned earlier. But yeah, but again, they give it to themselves.
Yeah, this is like a stress. This is like a beer.
So what he's going through there is he's like, I know the law real well, and you're going to be in trouble, and I ask him to show me the law, which he can't and doesn't.
He's got a wheat belly here, a beer belly. Yeah, he's very.
You're falling into this.
He's trying to like flag down the
victim spiral hood.
This is assault.
You need to find assault.
I forgot about that. With assault.
This is assault. You haven't touched him.
Do you want to have a conversation, sir, or not? I'm gonna get you a Lazy Bones on board.
Look, he's got trash in his car.
Sir, I think those are tickets.
You may if you like. My name's Abe Sebastian. I'm with you, proud,
garbage
heroic, and sexy.
A little bit. He has a solar panel on the roof there, I think.
Goodness
gracious.
That's
hilarious.
We should play Cart Narcs Bingo. We've got assault, harass,
anytime, but he wants to
senior citizen.
Oh, God. And then what? He comes back out with what?
He's like, I don't know what he was going for there, because I thought he was going to bring out some kind of.
Hi, my name's Agent. I'm Agent Sebastian. I didn't stop you at all.
Oh, he's like, I gotta find my phone. Look, I can record
this gentleman to move his cart.
Ugh.
So yeah, but that's the thing too. Is I'll give him credit. He didn't try to hurt me, unlike our friend Perry.
Oh my goodness! Wow, there's so many gems here.
Well, yeah. Again, it's again, this is unintentional. To go back to the earlier comment. This is all unintentional, but it's just slice of life stuff. It's you know, like you never know what you're going to find. A lot of times they're great, honest, sweet people who are lovely, but you find the turds in the punch bowls too.
You do. Sam Mason Perry. Oh, this is for Perry. Perry, can you just tell us once and for all what happened in 1992 with you and RC? You always tease that something happened with a hand and mouth.
This is, you got to watch Perry's stream to learn about that kind of stuff.
Yeah. From Janelle, no, do not use small children like that. It's dangerous. Okay, so Janelle is not for sending children to return the
use
cards.
them like that.
I would say if they're, I don't know, it depends. Like 7, I think is old enough.
Yeah, those are the videos people send me. They don't send their 3-year-old out alone.
No, not a toddler.
They'll be pushing the cart, and their little kid will push it with them, and maybe the brother or sister's in the basket. So it's very doable.
Yeah.
Again, Janelle's obviously a fan of yours. but I've encountered all the points she's coming up with, and they're not good excuses.
All right, I'm gonna name people for you, and then you tell me if you think they would be a lazy bones, an angry bones, or helpful bones.
If confronted, or if they
Yeah,
try
like
to,
if you think,
right.
what's your guess if they would be someone who would return their carts or not? Let's see who's like a popular figure. How about Donald Trump? What do you think?
I think that's I mean, you have to get, like, the last time he went shopping by himself is probably
Right, but like,
70s.
does he buy anything for himself?
I
True.
feel like he would be a lot like the man we just saw. Is there would be a lot of it would be just talking.
Okay.
So I think not angry, but more of he wants to have a verbal sparring session essentially.
Okay. What about Joe Rogan? Do you think Joe Rogan would put his
There's
cart back?
actually there's a Joe Rogan clip where he was on with the congressman with the eye patch, former Navy SEAL.
Oh, Eye Patch McCain. What's his name?
Eye Patch McCain.
That's Alex Stein's nickname for him. It's
Yeah. So, well, anyway, the
hell
point
is
being
his
that
name?
he was on his, he had released a book, the congressman had, and one of the chapters in the book was about shopping carts. And Joe and the guy, and I put it up on my YouTube page. It's probably 3-4 years old at this time.
Dan Crenshaw. Thank you, chat.
And Joe said, just put your damn cart back, essentially. So at least in word, Joe is accurate, and that goes. But most people who are professional athletes, sports, like I mentioned, the football player thing, any discipline where discipline is the discipline, that those people tend to be finish the job, clean up after yourself sort of people.
Okay, what about Taylor Swift?
Again, we'll have to go back to when I would say yes. She seems agreeable.
Okay.
She seems, and again, younger, like your 30s. But I would say we talked about middle-aged men. The same applies for women, not with the violence thing, but with the arguing thing. There's a lot of like 40, 50-year-old women.
It's more men leaving their carts out. And do you think it's because women suffer from agreeable disease?
That's part of it. I think there are women who tell me to F off and get lost and blah, 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 and that they're going to hit me with their car and so on and so forth. Much more rare, but it's that same age range. It's, 35 to 55 in there somewhere.
What about Jordan Peterson? Would he take his cart back?
I am somewhat familiar with him, and I think his whole thing is like make your bed, pick up after yourself.
Make your bed, put your cart back. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't see how he could live with himself if he did it.
Ooh, okay. God, that's the thing. Is anybody I would mention is somebody famous. And famous people tend to not do as much for themselves, it seems.
People ask it, because I do a lot of stuff out in LA, if I ever see famous people, and not
Ted Bundy put his car away.
It's possible. Again, it's people say, "Oh, taking back your cart isn't the only way to tell if you're a good person." Completely true. It's just one sign. It's just one sign.
Right.
But yeah, being in LA, I've seen a few famous people in lots, but never have I encountered them.
Really? Who's the most famous person you have encountered?
It's mostly comedy people. It's going to be, who's the guy on Party Down and the other two? He was on The State, Italian guy. I'll look him up real quick. Party Down's cast. I've seen Bobby Moynihan, SNL. Again, these are not famous.
Yeah. I did improv at kind of the same time as him, like before he got onto SNL.
I did Angelina Jolie, but that was not at a parking lot. That was
where'd you see her?
But who's actually a famous person who's, again, not right or left, but probably more on the left, is one of the current hosts of The Talk, Jerry O'Connell, Stand By Me, et cetera, et cetera. He's actually a big fan because I found out about him because he posted a photo with his daughters and they were saying, "Hey, look, we're putting our cart back." And then he's, we've talked a few times. He wants to ride along with me out in Calabasas somewhere, but he's like, I don't want to put him through that because I think he's too mainstream and I don't want him, dealing with this.
I mean, if he wants to do it, it might be a thrill for him to get
maybe
down with the people.
Maybe this year at some point. But yeah, he's had a whole new renaissance being like a talk show host, and because he was a big fan, I guess, and on the Howard Stern show for years. But yeah, he loves radio and talk and comedy and all that stuff, and he's kind of doing some of that now himself.
Would Ethan Klein return his cart?
Well, yes, he's again. We mentioned earlier. I've been on his show a couple times. Yeah. So again, person on the left there because people are trying to make this political, I'm sure.
They are.
Yeah.
My audience is very much trying to make this a left-wing issue.
Yeah, like I bring up Whitney Cummings, who's a fan. I bring up Ethan Klein, guys like that. I don't know Jerry's politics personally, but like there are plenty of folks over there who realize this is just about
Like
being
Viking
civil.
here. The basketball Americans are less likely to turn in their carts.
Yeah, so again, this is the kind of thing I don't weigh in on. So I try to keep this about humanity and what's right to
Humanity.
do
It
as a
doesn't
human.
matter if they're Chicago teens or strangers or suburbanites. Michael Wangler. Would Ethan Ralph put his car back? No, he would not.
Is that a bad reference?
Ethan Ralph, no, he was a friend of mine, but he rage quit my show for no reason. Like just decided to become
Much
an
like
enemy
Perry did.
over nothing. Yeah. I'm noticing some similarities. Interesting. Yeah. It's so funny. It really is. You are who you are when nobody is looking. And the cart return situation is a perfect example of like, what do you do when you don't get any points, you don't get any money, no one's going to see you do it, but how do you act in these situations where it's going to help out the next person? It's going to make the cart retrieval guy's job easier. Again, I hate the excuse of it's somebody's job to put but first of all, like this person whose job it is like not making very much money, okay, and like you're making their job easier, and it's probably easier for you to put it back, especially if it's right there, than it is for this person to run around. It's like you're doing your part. Like I've started picking up other people's litter.
Yeah, that was a thing. Speaking of which, that was the thing when we would go out as a young kids. We would go to the playground, and with my dad, it was a playground at a Catholic school, so it wasn't public, but they were whatever. We were neighbors, and my dad would take us there. But he'd say, "You got to pick up 4 pieces of litter because you're using their property." So that's it's a whole like it is like we were talking about earlier. It's how you were raised. Do you have good family and good influences in your social life?
What celebrities have become outspoken for or against your cause, other than we touched on Matt Walsh.
On a lot of the main ones. Like I said, Whitney Cummings, Jerry O'Connell, a couple of MMA fighters, George St. Pierre and John Jones, although he's got a checkered past. In the comedy world, I know this is a controversial figure, but Tony Hinchcliffe recently brought it up.
Tony.
He brought it up on Joe Rogan's podcast. I think I just got sent this today. If we're just talking about comedians, most are very cool. Been on a few, John Reap, he's a little older now, but Matt and Shane Gillis. Someone just sent me this today. Apparently, they were like calling me a dork or whatever, which I get. Because I get it, because the character is a nerd. He's a nerd. He's a
nerd,
Boy Scout. He's and then I think
hall monitor. Yeah.
And I think this happened on, and this is for people that love to hate people. I believe this happened on an old Brendan Schaub podcast where they were playing my clips a couple of years ago, and they're same idea. Look at this nerd. Look at this hall monitor, et cetera, et cetera. Not quite getting the humor behind the character, that this is his job and mission in his life. But so those are some of the, Dr. Phil against me, at least publicly. He was very hard on me when I was on his show. I think he was playing devil's advocate. But it's gotten around a lot because people definitely have an opinion one way or the other.
It's very triggering. Octavian says, when you encountered the trans person recently and said, "Sir," I mean, "Ma'am," was that intentional?
There was a video a couple months ago near Perry's place, actually, in the Valley, where these two ladies, as far as I know, it wasn't even a confrontation, really. It was just a conversation. They had, I guess, lived in the neighborhood, and they were going to do one of those moves where they just walk the cart to as far as the cart will go to their apartments and just dump it on the sidewalk, essentially. But they saw that uniform, and people, if they don't know who I am, which is most people still, obviously, they're like, "What's that?" And we just had a conversation about what it was. And so I was just going with what was going on there. It's up. I have no knowledge of those people more than the people watching.
Have you ever been hit on?
In person? No, yes, actually.
Ever in your life? No, I mean, like, while narking.
No, in person, actually, it was funny. I got mean girled in Orange County. I think it's called Cart Groupies. So I'm out patrolling, I got the vest on, and these two girls who had clearly been day drinking, they're in bathing suits, but with like t-shirts over them. Again, this is Orange County, rich young girls, probably go judging by them and the area. And they're starting to like tease me, like, "Oh, what are you, a cart cop?" And then this guy walks up and he recognizes, he's like, "Oh, cart dogs!" And it flips immediately. They're like, "Oh, speaking of which, let's go get you some White Claws. Let's go drink." They were still mean girling me, still teasing me. Yeah, they were still like, they're like, "Oh, we're gonna take this nerd and screw with him," which again, I'm playing character, obviously.
Wow. And then when they
So
found
that
out
was
you were famous.
right. But now once there was some notoriety, they're like, "Oh, well," which is what mean girls do.
Ugh, I
They're
hate
not really
that.
your friends.
That's so LA. That's so
Yeah,
California.
exactly. And that was like they were still teasing. They weren't hitting on me, but that's definitely
They were
sorta
nicer to
happened.
you. Yeah.
Right. They were think they were messing with me a little bit.
Wow. I love it. Oh my God. I feel like I've asked you every possible question.
Oh,
I was
no.
so excited to talk to you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Any other favorite stories, moments, anything that stands out?
Oh boy, yeah. I'm trying to think of stuff that I haven't talked about recently. Oh, I love it when I guess my favorite stuff is when I verbally beat lawyers at their own game. The guy the guy in the whiskey shirt does not count. But I had one recently in Atlanta and recently actually in LA where they were definitely lawyers because people have sent me links to and again, I don't approve of doxing. If I see it, I delete it, but privately sent me their info. Like, "Oh, I work with this person, they're a jerk." And they're like trying to throw out laws. One guy said he was with the DA's office to like try to threaten me and intimidate me. Turns out not at all true. But like this, they claim assault, they claim battery, they claim harassment.
Wow.
Because I've talked with a lot of lawyers about this and I know it in and out. But beating them at their own game is one of my favorite things.
Oh yeah, it's good. It's good to know your rights. Octavian, my favorite jab is lazy bonesitis.
Okay, so that happened. That's one of the original ones where this lady, and I was teasing her a little bit, which again, didn't see the humor in it, where she said, "Oh, I have a disability," even after maybe she does. But she's on this big truck that you got to like step up into. I watched her take a full basket of groceries, step into the bed, but then the second she wants to leave her cart in the disability access lane, and she goes, "I have a disability." And I said, "What is it? Lazy bonesitis?" And then from
That's
there it was
so
on.
funny.
And that was, and then she has a disc problem, but she's throwing stuff at me and chasing
Yeah,
me.
all
And
these things that you can't prove or show or
But
yeah,
yeah,
how,
and again,
how
I'm not,
convenient.
and to point out to those people, I am super aware. I was in a wheelchair with a broken spine for quite some time. I'm in college. I'm super aware that those things exist, but I
What
do
happened? You
play
got
on a
run over with a
case-by-case
cart?
basis. Yeah, right, exactly. No, rugby tackle gone wrong, and just one thing,
Wow.
little spinal fracture, but small.
Rugby is hardcore.
Yeah, no pads. And you take what you get.
Not a super chat, but a good question. Have you encountered dogs locked in cars in
I
your
found a lot of
time?
dogs in cars. Now the
Oh,
question
I would free them. I would break the window open.
the question is, was it a hot day where the windows rolled up? That sort of thing. And in no case, and obviously I don't know for sure, but it's either cool outside, the windows were rolled down, sometimes two rolled down, and there's some big dogs. That's the other thing too. People kind of ask about where I draw the line with busting people and not busting people. And I don't bust people with kids, even though not an excuse,
Mhm.
because if they do flip out, I don't want the kids and I don't want any uninvolved problems,
And it's also you don't want a scenario where you have now like this person's making a spectacle and now you have their kids on camera.
Exactly. And the other thing is anytime when an animal might get injured, this happened, oh God, I want to
Oh.
say Salt Lake City, where a guy had this big pit bull just kind of chilling in the passenger seat, which is not safe for that dog. But also I
No.
know that, and I said hi to him, pointed things out, but I didn't go with the magnets because I don't want to get bit, of course. But also if he sicks that dog on me, even if I don't want to have to hurt that dog because it's not the dog's fault at that point. So yeah, dogs and kids, and then really old people, of course, which you don't see any of that. You don't see those in Cart Narcs videos. Little kids.
That dog eats angry bones for breakfast.
And if a dog did come after me, I would jump in the bed of a pick. There's ways to get away from dogs, but I don't want to have to worry about that dog getting hurt, or if the dog does bite me and the cops show up, it gets possibly put down, and it's not the dog's fault. It's just the scumbag owner at that point. So
see if you can get the dog to return the cart.
Yeah, right. A canine unit.
And NF, please bring back Agent Gabriel. Also, would you consider going to Perry's house for a stream? Maybe Tony Hawk could bring you as a guest.
So Agent Gabriel, he works in the Salt Lake City area. He'll be back probably this fall at some point. He's a cart narc monk. He's very holy, quotes Bible verses. That's why he's in Salt Lake City, of course. Haha. When I go to Perry's house for a stream, I've got to, like we mentioned earlier, I've got to be careful because to the person who doesn't know Perry, they'll think that he's in on it. So I try to keep that a little bit. If I show up to his house in real life, I try to keep those things separate because of the internet. I'll say, oh, the cart narcs is fake, Perry's fake, et cetera, et cetera. So I try to put a big disclaimer out there and try to keep him as far, at arm's length, even though obviously, he's your friend and you enjoy him too. Like many people do.
He came on my show on Compound Media on Wet Spot, and he brought Tony Hawk. And I was fooled. I was fooled by his friend Will Cable, who was posing as Tony Hawk. Did the entire episode, like from the bar, like from the pre-show drink at the bar till long after everybody went home. I was like, wow, Tony Hawk. Like, I didn't really know much about him, but like he looked enough like him to where I was fooled. And I was like, all right, I guess Tony Hawk's not really busy. He's hanging out with this eccentric niche celebrity. And not that I was like, fucking sucking his dick or kissing up to him or anything like that. I just was like, oh, wow, cool. Welcome. All right. This is our whatever fucking studio. And
well, yeah, that was funny because if you go into Perry lore, Perry, he's had a lot of run-ins with some very famous people. So it would not be weird to think that Tony Hawk would know him by any means.
Right. Yeah, I was like, I'm sure he knows a lot of random celebrities.
I mean, he's heavily involved with Jimmy Kimmel and a lot of people in his world, Adam Carolla, and that whole greater world of celebrities. So that's not out of the question.
Oh my God, I felt so dumb. I was like, that's not.
Well, if you somebody
Frank was like, that's not the real Tony Hawk. I was like, what? I was asking him like what kind of tricks he does. I was asking him to explain how to do a Misty flip. I felt like such an idiot. I was like, wow, it's just a fucking random 2-year comedian getting it in.
Well, like, if you're not in the skateboarding world, I can see the mistake being made.
Unbelievable. I feel like an idiot. Keenan, Agent Sebastian, I salute you and thank you. Wow.
I appreciate that. Thank you. No, it's gratifying because you, like we were talking about earlier, it does get you down to like, it's like the whole world this gross and crappy. But there are people like that who make it worthwhile when you realize that the majority's with you.
This person threw their car into traffic when they were a child.
I believe it. People point out the old Jackass stuff, the Bam Margera carts into, people do it and, they grow up eventually. So that's good.
Wow. Any closing thoughts? I feel like we've changed a lot of hearts and minds tonight.
Well,
I think
that's a good point. And it goes back to what you brought up at the beginning is there are a lot of people who they'll message me and say, I didn't even think about it. It just didn't cross my mind, like whatever. I just didn't think about it. And then like, oh, okay. This makes sense. They're not evil. They're not mean. They're not out to cause anybody a problem. They just weren't thinking, and that's okay.
Right.
And if that's what the Cart Narcs videos help with, that's the greater purpose. And I would say, okay, great. You started with the cards, and this happens to me too. Like you mentioned with picking up other people's litter yourself, it starts to infect the rest of your life, and it makes the rest of your life better. And really, it goes back to a lot of the things you were talking about. You start thinking about, oh, how am I not thinking? How am I on autopilot? And how could I be doing things that make my world and the world for the people around me better? And again, it's just a cart, but it's the carting point, the starting point for a lot of that, for being a better
carting
person.
point.
We love rhymes and puns with the cart.
Oh God, I'm a pun supremacist. It's that feeling of when you're in the grocery store and you see an item on a shelf that is completely out of place. Like you see like
the cereal.
You see like a chicken defrosting in the cereal aisle, and like you're like, that's not good. Like that's not where the carts go. That's.
And people have said I should do that, but it's so rare and it's so instantaneous. The one thing that's great about carts is it's a big metal object that's easy to track. I would love to do a litter narc. I've talked about it for a long time, but and in some videos I've caught people littering, throwing stuff out, and I've been approached them about it, but it's so fast and so hard to catch as opposed to carts, which are, like I said, large and slow. Yeah.
Easy to catch. Yeah. Wow. What do you think if people are listening thinking, I would love to be a cart narc? Like, what do you think are the characteristics you need to have to be successful at this?
just be thoughtful, but don't back down either. I think there's a difference because people use the term Karen and stuff like that for what I do, and there's a difference because those people who are screaming at a teller over not getting their iced coffee or whatever, that's unjustified, and it's going about it. And number one, but number two, it's going about it the wrong way. With cart narcs, polite, sweet, and it's fully. Again, we've heard a lot of these excuses. It's fully justified on my end in all cases. You can argue with me about my method. You could say, as some of your commenters have, that I'm mean and cruel, which I don't believe I am, but that's up for interpretation. But as far as the logistics of taking the cart back, as we try to beat into Perry's head there's not a good excuse if you're physically able.
All right. And one final super chat from Octavian. When you found the guy at his mailbox, how did you track him down?
Found the guy at his, trying to think what video that is, at his mailbox. I honestly don't recall what the guy. I honestly don't know because I followed some people out of the lots, like down the sidewalk, because they're like pushing the cart off.
Right. Like how long will you chase somebody down? Like, do you have okay, once they're out of the parking lot, you let them go?
Essentially, yeah. Once they're on the city street, at that point, it's first off, no matter how fast I run,
your jurisdiction, yeah.
Every car is faster. But like for what I call walk-offs, because because they're just gonna dump the cart.
Unless it's a Flintstone car.
Yeah, they'll dump it in their at their shopping, at their apartment complex or wherever, which sucks. Number one, it's unsightly. But number two, it gets in the way and it's not where the cart goes. That's one less cart for the people, the reasons are obvious. But yeah, if they're walking on foot, I'll follow them as far as it takes for that cart to get returned.
I really want a shirt that has lazy bones on the front, and then that's not where the carts go on the back.
Yeah, or like a no lazy bones or whatever.
Yeah.
Like I said, I promise.
Yeah, like you could have crossbones and like no lazy bones.
Yeah, I had actually like a big like prop plastic lazy bone that said lazy on it at one point with like a little suction cup and like a fishing line. I had that for a little while. It was a little cumbersome, but something along that line could definitely come back.
Sebastian, do you have a significant other? And if so, how do they feel about your work? Are they ever nervous?
No, not actively, just kind of dating, single person right now. But most everybody in my life that does know about cart narc. It's funny, I dated this girl like last year for, I don't know, like 6 months, and she had no idea. I didn't tell her. She didn't figure it out. No one told her what, no one said, because like you mentioned, a lot of people don't know what I look like unless they watch an interview, because it's all body cam footage, obviously. Unless they saw Dr. Phil or see one of these interviews, they don't know. And she never knew, but you could tell she was a decent person. She was a veterinarian, actually. Nice person.
Oh.
But then people who know about me, obviously that's easy. That's, I've never dated anyone who's like, F you, I hate what you do.
Knowing it's so funny if this girl like knew that she knew who you were and then didn't say anything. And then you guys are having sex and she's like, that's not where the cocks go. All right.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of famous people that love the cart narcs, Riley Reid. There you go. She's a fan.
Oh my God. Yes. Riley Reid. That's so great.
If you're talking about people from politicians to adult stars.
Yes.
Yeah. So it could be a universal thing.
Oh, Carl from Who Are These Podcasts is Sebastian. Thanks for reaching out to me. Big fan.
Yeah,
wow.
they played a clip from the Lazy Bonesitis, actually the one that was brought up recently, that video. Because these are still, people say, oh, and I appreciate it, but yeah, I don't think I'm that funny. I think I just sort of like a Nathan Fielder, again, not in their league, or a Sacha Baron Cohen, especially Nathan Fielder, because what he does is he finds characters, funny, weird people, and elicits weirdness from them based on his very bland, boring character. And again, I would say that's, to use an analogy, that's the closest thing to what I do. Is I'm silly, but I'm not a comedian. I'm putting these little pokes in or whatever, but I'm more allowing people to be ridiculous and following that thread, see where that goes.
But you're very observant and you're an observer of human behavior, which like gives you like a foundation to be funny. Like
people say, what's the thing and how do you make these responses? And I say, well, look, first off, I've done this 1,000 times, so I've heard of versions of these responses, but two, just listen to what they're picking. Like you're saying, pick up on what they're actually doing. And because they're in attack mode, they're in animal mode, they're in toddler mode. A lot of people would say baby mode. They've got one or two notes they're pounding me with, and I'm listening to what they're saying and just responding naturally. It's very jujitsu-ish or judo-ish. Let them fall.
It
Make their own
is.
pace.
And you're like, finish him. Wow. This is I almost don't want to let you go. Well, if you're single and you are you like what you hear and see from Agent Sebastian, follow him on Twitter at Narcs.
Yeah, at
Check out
Narcs. And the only caveat, except for TikTok, I had a channel, and there are plenty of Narcs videos on TikTok, and people see me and they're like, "Oh, I know you from TikTok." Those are all fan accounts because technically what I do is too dangerous for TikTok. They booted me off and said I'm
Wow.
engaging in activities that could endanger myself or others.
That's retarded.
Well, that is, but I think TikTok, they're so focused on, because all the, teenagers doing dangerous things and then copying other teenagers. So I think that's their
Oh yeah,
point of view.
asking somebody to put a cart back is dangerous, but bursting into somebody's residence is perfectly fine.
Right. So maybe I just got a bad moderator one day on TikTok, but I've appealed it and they said, nope, you're gone for good. So you'll see my videos on TikTok, but that's not officially me.
Unbelievable. I hate TikTok. I hope it dies in a fire. Sebastian, you're an absolute delight and a joy. You're doing the Lord's work. Anything else? Any other closing thoughts?
Feel free. Again, I always say observe and report, but also feel free to call out your friends and family. If you and your buddies are out getting some food,
say something.
Yeah, and people send me messages daily saying I had to narc out my mom or my dad because they didn't want to do it. So that's kind of cool. It's a strange, and I almost don't believe it. Like, it's a strange, super weird subgenre of realistic, practical, civic responsibility comedy that I'm doing, which again I didn't mean to get into by any means, but it's been, like you meant, like we were talking about earlier, it's one of those things where it's just an idea and then you kind of build and build and build and build and build. And who would have thought being a good neighbor was would make like kids are think it's awesome,
It is awesome.
It is very dorky in a way.
It's dorky, but it's the best. It's like you're like a grown-up Paul Monitor.
Yeah, Paul, Ned Flanders, SpongeBob, fill in the blank with
And now
Dudley
you.
Do-Right, like all of those characters.
Oh my goodness. You're the best, Sebastian. Thank you to everybody in the chat for your comments and questions. Thank you to Perry Caravello for
Hearts and minds not changed, but he did show up.
No, not today, but maybe eventually he'll soften.
Hopefully.
And he'll be helpful bones. Yeah, thank you for jumping on, Perry. We love you. I hope you're not too mad at me for having Sebastian on the program.
Yeah, what was his first line? I have a big problem with you, girl.
Yeah, he was upset. He was demanding I throw you off, and I'm like, he's the guest. Oh well. Thank you, Sebastian. You're the best. Keep doing what you're doing. If you ever need I would love to do a ride along someday.
Yeah, I'll be up in the area probably in the fall-ish.
Yes.
We'll stay, we'll stay in touch or whatever, and I'll remember to try to reach out to you. And you're like New Jersey near New York, right?
Yes, the tri-state area. Yeah, Connecticut, Jersey, New York. I will travel for this.
Yeah, no, I'll be in the area again at some point before the end of the year, before it gets too cold, I'm sure.
Yeah.
That's another thing you see. You don't see any Narcs videos with snow on the ground because
right.
Because it's another excuse. You don't see a lot of rain or snow.
Oh, there's snow, right?
Oh, it's too cold. Oh, it's snowing. So I try to level the playing field, like I said, as much as possible.
You're one step ahead of everybody. I love that. Thank you to everybody watching. Thank you, Sebastian, and we will see you next time.